and courage of the youth. The future belongs to those who see opportunities today. YUCI is a youth-run organization with a central youth team of passionate and enthusiastic young individuals driven to bring changes by providing development programs and opportunities. YUCI is dedicated to strengthening the youth community and helping them achieve success in sustainable development. YUCI is not restricted to organizing lectures and seminars or activism through social media. We want to entitle youth through effective action and aid them to become the backbone to a better society. And today, YUCI takes this initiative to welcome you all for the Africa Youth Power Summit 2021. YUCI always believed that if youth are united, we can together achieve dauntless heights. Therefore, this African Summit will act as a bridge to connect the most energized youth. Africa, the continent of Nelson Mandela, which always gave the message that if youth make a decision to achieve something, nothing can stop them. The energized youth is the face of the country. So here is the opportunity for us to learn, to grow, to perform the work to the best of our abilities. Leaders are not born, leaders are created, and with this motto, we welcome each and every speaker of African Youth Power Summit 2021 in order to empower the youth. We welcome our chief guest, Shri T.K. Sundarmurthy sir, retired Mission Director ISRO and Principal Advisor of YUCI. A heartfelt welcome to you, sir. Mr. Sundarmurthy joined ISRO Satellite Center after completing bachelor's degree in mathematics from Sacred Heart College, DMIT Honors in Aeronautical Engineering from MIT and ME in Aerospace Engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, in the initial capacity as mission analyst. He served in ISRO for over 37 years in various capacities and responsibilities in mission operations, management of communication, and meteorological spacecraft of ISRO. We are happy to have you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Though I'm not the right person to be the chief guest for this African Power Summit, but Mr. Vimal is known to me for a long time. So he was associated with me in me giving some guest lectures to the colleges, and I'm interested in empowering the students community to know more about the space technology and other things. But this forum, yes, he told me, yes, sir, we are doing some kind of a service to the people, so that it's mainly to empowering the people, to bring them up, or to give them some kind of an encouragement and the kind of coming up in their life in various fields of activities what these people are participating. As I know, they are doing a lot of programs in India for the upliftment of the students, especially these children who are being downtrodden, and then they are taking it up this mission in a great way with the help of all other people. So I'm happy to be associated with this mission. So first of all, I would like to thank the organizers to giving you an opportunity for me to share some of my views about this. If we talk of India and Africa, the relation goes back maybe a century old. Probably our Mahatma Gandhi regime, if you try to recall, that is after he has gone to Africa only, then he has come to know the power of freedom, and then why India should be free from Britishers. So he started the movement from South Africa, and then he had come back to India, and then he started his the protest in a peaceful way. That is, he never believed in violence. So that is, this was his main weapon to fight against the Britishers. But at the end, I think he has succeeded. That way, I think our relation between India and Africa is, I think, from then it is continuing, and even now we are following. And another great man like our Gandhi is your country's Nelson Mandela, sir. I think, in fact, when I was reading his biography, no, see, I was really stunned how strong the man was. He was put behind the bars. Almost he spent almost his entire life in jail, with a hope that yes, he will be getting the freedom. But finally, he got it, and then yes, he has worked very well for the upliftment of the country. And yes, I think to some extent, yes, he has brought into the a lot of changes, and the people were now they are all following his footpath, and they are doing a lot of services. In this regard, what I am trying to share with you people are because I'm not going to give some kind of a sermons or any such things. It is mainly, unless the youth power has been properly trained and channelized, no country can develop. So that way I can say, in the world, India is the one country where we are having youth power as the maximum numbers, and all other countries also, youth power is one thing which is the only backbone for their country's future growth. Because with the already, even if they call it as a developed nations, they cannot survive without the youth power. So the youth power has to be trained, and then they should be motivated, and they should be empowered to take up the challenges which facing the nations. Because why I am telling it is both are now, we are now coming up, and then we are posing a big challenge to the already developed nations. So that is another reason why we, in addition to the developed nations, we have to put a lot of effort to overcome the hurdles which has already been there, and then we have to overcome those hurdles. It is like every blockade we have to take it as a stepping stone for our improvement. In fact, what I can say is, during our 1972 Pokhran War, US has brought a ban on all our high technology which we were getting it from US. That has made us to be self-reliant in our space technology. In fact, in a way, when you see some roadblock, then you start searching for a better avenue for you to get into and then progress. In fact, that is how now I am proud to say that in Indian space technology, now we are almost more than 90%, it is self-reliant. All the things which is required for the rocket technology or satellite technology or anything which is related to space, I'm proud to say that yes, we have achieved self-reliance. That is, everything is made in-house. So I think probably, and also now we are proud. Once upon a time, we were looking for other countries to launch our satellites. In fact, if you recall, 1975, when our first satellite Aryabhatta was launched, it was by Russia. Now, USA is now aligning with us, and then they have had a memorandum of understanding, and then we are going to launch a state-of-art weather satellite that is called Nizar. It is a advanced radar 24/7. So by this, the technology people, youth power is one thing which we have to make use, and then we have to encourage them, and somehow all the attention are to be diverted to bring them up and try to encourage them. If we can do the job, probably I'm 100% sure any country which is properly being training the youth force and then utilizing their force for the development, definitely that country will grow. I hope. I think the model which we are following in India, probably the same thing can be followed in the African country, so that they can also follow the same footsteps, and then they can develop, and then we will be jointly work together, and then try to come up, and then it is like I pat your back, you pat my back, so that both are getting the encouragement, and then we can do wonders. I think with this small brief note, I hand over the chair to the Mr. Vimal. Thank you very much. All the very best for the summit. I hope, I think if time permits, I think I'll be joining sometime later around 4:30 or so, because I have another program which is lined up at 4 o'clock. So 4 to 5, I will be engaged there. And then 5 o'clock, I'll try to join. All the very best for you people for the successful African Power Summit 2021. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful insight. Thank you.
Okay. Namaskar. I'm taking leave. I'll rejoin. Okay.
Yes, sir. We welcome our next chief guest now, Mr. Johnny Mutaba. As the old saying goes, leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. This statement is very well defined by our next speaker, Sir Johnny Mutaba. He is founder of the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce in 2015 in Johannesburg, South Africa, having more than 15 years of work experience in media, entertainment, entrepreneurship, trade, social impact, and human rights. He is a global thought leader with a proven track record of lead multicultural team and deliver outstanding results, and has an in-depth understanding of business networking, negotiations, relationships, and project management. Johnny's work is inspired by his responsibility to Africa, and a very special ability of our speaker is that he can connect entrepreneurial vision, creative passion, and innovative problem solving. A broad range of professional services for artists, corporations, universities, and governments. Even the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce is currently active in more than 45 countries in Africa, and in also in the United States and Europe. He is also a member of the World Trade Organization International Chamber of Commerce Committee on Medium and Small Enterprises Advisory Committee. He is not only the member of such acclaimed committee, but also the founder of the Women Entrepreneurship Center, the South African Film and Television Academy, and the American Arts Chamber of Commerce. Over to you, Mr. Johnny Mutaba.
Thank you so very much for that introduction. I just want to thank the organizers for extending this invitation for me to share with the participant the vision we have when it comes to youth power on the African continent. But at the same time, I will also be able to see and speak on how the youth in Africa can be connected to opportunities happening in India and other parts of the globe. When I saw the theme of this summit, African Youth Power Summit, I was excited. And as a person who provides training and skill development, I realized that I had to understand, number one, my own definition of power. I define power as the ability to control circumstances. Do we really believe today that young people in Africa have power? Do they have power in the present? In 1976, South Africa was led by a white minority government under the name of apartheid. It basically meant separate development. So these young people were killed because they stood up, they went to protest, and the change we see in South Africa today did not happen by chance. Many young people sacrificed their lives when their parents did not actually know what it is, honestly, that they were so angry about. So sometimes older people accept the status quo and young people challenge the status quo. For me, that's the power of young people. The poem says, at the heart of the winter peak, the cold front blew mercilessly across the ground. Numb, but determined to speak out. They trickled from their homes. In no time, over 20,000 students converged. The march was initially peaceful, as innocents filled and enjoyed the dust, armed solely with a resolute mind, vulnerable, yet determined and purposeful, revamped and eager to end an unjust system. In a splash, yellow vans took over the spotlight. Tanks roared. An impending massacre was inevitable. Their command was to destroy the juvenile terrorists, a memento of the havoc prior to the Rivonia trial. Heavy arms, tear gas, and live ammunition fired. Commotion and deafening din embraced. Ferocious Alsatians, bloodthirsty, they whooped and ready to pounce on the blameless souls. Like troubled ants displaced from the colony, the innocent children scattered. Blood oozed from his mouth and ears. Young Hector was killed during commotion. Hit by a bullet, he halved in pain. Carried to safety, but to no avail. A true hero and son of our liberation. Young Peterson died at the tender age of 13. Brutality was exposed. A new wave of resistance was born. Immune to pain and rejuvenated, prepared to die and save the masses. This poem speaks to what happened in 1976. That was a moment very important in the history of South Africa that shaped the nation that we are all talking about today, called South Africa. I started the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce in 2015. And to just give you a brief overview on how the Chamber as an organization came to be, I was invited in 2010 by students from the Democratic Republic of Congo. That is the country where I was born. I have been in South Africa for 20 years now, and I'm actually going to be I'm moving to the US this year because of the work that I'm doing in the film and television industry. I'm also opening a television channel. The reason why I'm giving you this background is for you to understand that everything that I do now is informed by the problems facing young people in Africa. These young people invited me with more than 400 other people. They presented a problem. The problem was that it is very, very difficult for them to find employment. It is very difficult for them to find work experience in South Africa. I went back to the university to speak to students from other countries within Southern Africa. Primarily, I spoke to students from Namibia, students from Zimbabwe, and also students from Lesotho and neighboring countries. The problem was the same. It is primarily that problem that these young people presented that made me to realize that this African problem needs an African solution. As today we're talking about the African youth power, we need to realize that young people on their own, they cannot move this continent forward. They need the partnership, they need the support, they need the collaboration of every single one of us for this dream to become a reality. The Africa of the future is going to be built when all of us actually work together. Kofi Annan, who was the General Secretary of the UN, said something that I found very, very inspiring. He said that young people should be at the forefront of global change and innovation. Empowered, they can be key agents for development and peace. If, however, they are left on society's margins, all of us will be impoverished. And of course, he also said that let us ensure that all young people have every opportunity to participate fully in the lives of their societies. Because of this problem these young people presented me with 11 years ago, I went on a mission to bring as many chambers of commerce as possible together. I started by bringing the French South African Chamber of Commerce. I went to reach out to the German Chamber, the British Chamber, because I knew that chambers of commerce have so much power. Because they are working with organized business, they will then be able to provide an opportunity for young people to have work experience. And why is work experience so important? In Africa, I just want to give you some numbers. Every single year, we have about 10 million young people leaving universities to get into the place of work. 10 million. This was before COVID. 10 million young people, only 3 million of them will be absorbed by the marketplace. It simply means that about 7 million young people in Africa are sitting at home. They are not in education, they are not in employment. They are actually unemployable, many of them. They are unemployed, and they are those who are going to be unemployable. The issue of youth unemployment in Africa is a very big issue. So if we want to empower young people to lead Africa, we have to make sure that we provide an opportunity for them to fend for themselves. We need to provide opportunities, especially for those young people who have gone to study. They need opportunities to be connected to the marketplace. That's the first phase. The Pan-African Chamber of Commerce promotes what we call the African agenda. This African agenda is divided into three parts. We have the African agenda for youth that looks at education, employment, and entrepreneurship. We have the African agenda for women, which is around mainstreaming women's economic participation in Africa through private-public partnerships. But we also have the African agenda for culture. We are putting culture at the heart of economic development. Culture here as a tool for cooperation, collaboration, and diplomacy between the African continent and, of course, the entire world. So it is through culture, for example, that our programs in the US, our programs in Europe, our programs in Asia will be able to expose young African creatives to the marketplace, because our contribution as a continent to the creative economy at a global level sits at about 1%. So we want to change that narrative. We also realize that as an organization, we need to look into the future. How does the future look like, especially for young people? As we speak now, 70% of the people in Africa are under the age of 30. 70% of people in Africa are under the age of 30. By 2035, Africa will have the biggest workforce in the world. Actually, that workforce will be bigger than the one of India and China combined. When we're talking about 2035, from today, the 7th of August, it is actually 4,895 days. When we reach this milestone, we get into 2035, the continent of Africa will have this big workforce. But what are we doing today to empower these young people so that by the time Africa becomes the world's biggest market from a productivity perspective, we are not found wanting? So we need to put systems in place because numbers do not happen on their own. They need people to work with the private sector, the public sector, international development organizations. And for me, as an entrepreneur, I believe that our best bet as a continent is to focus on entrepreneurship. We focus on entrepreneurship because we can accelerate economic growth in Africa through innovation-driven entrepreneurship. That is why, as much as we're working with young people at universities across the African continent, I always want to make sure that we don't just get them ready for the place, in the marketplace for them to find a job, but I'm also able to share with them my own story as an entrepreneur who came to this nation from Congo 20 years ago. I'm an entrepreneur. I've done quite well for myself. I've opened a lot of businesses here, and I'm now going to open more businesses internationally. So I also want to help young people to start their own businesses, because once you start your own business, you have freedom. Power for me is the ability to choose, is the ability to control circumstances. Power, as we're talking about African youth power, is the freedom to be who you want to be. And if you are working every single day for someone, I have no problem with people working. Honestly, we work with a lot of employers as a chamber, but I truly believe that true freedom, especially for young people in Africa, will come when they own the means of production. That is basically what is going to happen. That is basically what we can do as a collective. So through the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce, we are launching the African Youth Institute. So what the African Youth Institute does as an organization, we have actually set out an ambitious vision in which the whole of government, the private sector, and civil society would support young people to realize their potential. What we're saying here as an organization is that all sectors can work together to make sure that young people have the supportive relationships, strong ambitions, and good opportunities they need if they are to succeed. We focus here on supporting success rather than preventing failure. That is one of the key tenets of the African Youth Institute. As a platform, as an agency of the Chamber of Commerce, I realized that in most of these conversations that I found myself in, I was always speaking for young people. And I said, I cannot continue to speak for young people. I need to make sure that young people can use the platform we've created to speak for themselves. It is for that reason now that young people are able to inform the chamber to help us understand how youth leadership is important across the board in all the programs that we do. So before COVID, we used to organize a lot of conferences. We did organize a conference with ministers of technology in South Africa. So when we have an event like that happening, we bring young people first to tell us exactly what they want out of this conference. That is how we're giving young people that power. That power comes through collaboration. That power comes from an organization like ours opening itself up to allow young people to help us see the future. That is one of the key things that we have done as an organization. One of the key things as well that we're working on now is around capacity for youth organizations. We have so many organizations across Africa that are working with young people, but we realize that many of them do not have capacity. They don't even know how to put a proposal together. They don't even know how to put a fundraising strategy together. They don't even know how to manage their organizations from a governance perspective. So we are putting now programs in place through the African Youth Institute to support youth organizations across the African continent. Because if they are capacitated and they're empowered, we will then see that Africa as a continent is going to move forward. Something I've also realized is that we are in the middle of a revolution. Now, the world entirely, but I'm speaking, of course, from the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce perspective. A revolution is going on as we speak. So the choices we're making today, the decisions we're making today, will determine whether we have succeeded or failed this generation of young leaders. There is something that I'm not really always happy to hear when people say young people are the future. And I'm like, when you say they are the future, what is going to happen to their present? So if you say young people are the future, you are robbing them of their present. If you say they are going to lead, not now, but they can only lead in the future. Young people can lead now, they lead now. And they actually were not waiting for anybody to tell them how to lead. You just need to give them the tools and resources and create a conducive environment for them to work. They will blow your mind away. I believe by working now through partnerships and collaboration with these young people, we can basically make a difference. I believe in an inclusive society that values and supports the full engagement of young people in the civic, social, economic, and cultural life. That is the reason why we've set up this African Youth Institute. We need to open these young people up to opportunities to collaborate, to exchange with like-minded entrepreneurs and young people all over the globe. I want to see young people from South Africa to connect to young people in India. I want to see young people from Nigeria to connect with young people in India. That is basically the kind of work our chamber has actually been promoting and fostering. I've attended a lot of conferences, trade and economic development conferences between South Africa and India. From the BRICS perspective, we want to make sure that we are able to position young people in Africa to start taking now ownership of these discussions that are being developed all over the globe. But at the same time, we want to build youth social infrastructure. This is about developing and maintaining resources that are designed to build skills among young leaders that they can use to be more effective in their organizing work. So we are bringing a lot of young people together. In December this year, the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce is hosting the Pan-African Youth Awards. We have amazing initiatives that are planning this year. But I think many of you know that there is a Mandela Washington Fellowship that was launched by the US President Barack Obama back in 2010. We are also working actually now. We've started conversations with them in terms of how we can bring the cultural component to this conversation. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to support programs and initiatives that are making a difference. As I went for my walk this morning, I was actually thinking some of the initiatives we have for the youth in Africa, we can bring those programs to India and vice versa. Some of the programs we have for young people in the US, I'm working in America primarily in the arts and the creative economy through the American Arts Chamber of Commerce, registered in the US, registered also here in South Africa. So the agenda for youth is something that I'm very, very passionate basically about. If you can remember, for some of you, in 2010, 2011, there was something called the Arab Spring. The Arab Spring was basically in the northern part of the African continent, around Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt. We saw what happened when young people are not supported. We saw what happened in those countries in North Africa. We must never, all of us with organizations like this one that is organized, this conference, we have to make sure that young people are given platforms, they are supported, they are engaged. There is an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. This organization and every single person who has come here, people have offered their time, people have retired, but they've actually offered their time to come and empower young people. You are doing an amazing job. It has to take an entire village to raise this child because your child is my child. But another proverb that kind of scares me, it says that the child that is rejected by the village will bend that village down to feel its warmth. So if this village has failed to raise the child and it rejects that very child, this African proverb says that that child is going to bend the village down. What we saw happening in North Africa there was those children bending the village down because the village did not open up, create opportunities. In Africa, in many other parts of the globe, opportunities are given to youth who are affiliated politically to certain organizations. Opportunities are given to young people who speak a certain language, who are coming from a certain region. If we want to move the world forward, I'm talking now from an African perspective, and of course, the work you guys have started in India, we need to give young people opportunities irrespective of their color, irrespective of their creed or religion, irrespective of their background or their political affiliations. Because if we continue to do that, this is what I've been saying to governments in Africa. When I have conversations with ministers of education, ministers of health, ministers of technology, to say you need to bring young people to drive this agenda. Many ministers are old. I have no problem with old people. But if you empower young people, they understand how to apply technology. I will give you my own example. I worked in the city of Johannesburg from 2006 to 2016, basically for the entire decade. I was advising 2 mayors in this city on issues of integration, social cohesion, and cultural understanding. There have always been these issues and tensions between young South Africans and other young people coming from other parts of the continent who are attracted to South Africa because of the stability politically. The economy is the biggest in this region, and South Africa is Africa's most industrialized economy. So because of all of these factors, many young people are coming to South Africa from as far as Egypt, coming to study here, Nigeria coming to study here, Ghana coming to study here, the DRC coming to study here. But when these young people are coming into this space, they will also find resentment from institutions, from policymakers, basically making them a scapegoat. Because if you're not able to create jobs for young South Africans, you are now going to blame a young person, a defenseless young person coming from Rwanda, or coming from Zambia, or coming from Zimbabwe. You will see that this will also continue to alienate young people. So we need to build communities of peace where young people from Nigeria and Congo can live side by side in South Africa with their South African counterparts. I'm giving you this example so that you understand the challenges. So we've been talking to ministers here in South Africa so that South Africa does not become the place where the best brains from across Africa come to die. Because for the fact that people from other countries are here, their countries are losing out on the best brains. The fact that I'm here, even though I work across Africa, my own country of birth, the DRC, is missing out. Of course, my work is now supporting many programs in Congo as well. But if I wasn't like me, it simply means that I was just going to wait for somebody to give me an opportunity. Many of these young people just want somebody who can listen to them. So I set up this chamber primarily to provide a solution, a platform with organized business and many entrepreneurs to help now young people to have opportunities to get work experience. To get a job, you need work experience. To get experience, you need a job. It's a chicken and egg situation. So for many companies here in South Africa, when they give a young South African an opportunity for internship, they get incentives from the state. But if a young person is not from South Africa, they're on their own. It is primarily because of that the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce was established to help now these young people. We've placed a lot of young people since 2015 when we started. Now we're even going to do this at a global level. I will also be able to find opportunities for these young people in the US, in Canada, in Australia, in New Zealand, because the world has really become global and we need to plug these young people in. So the past 10 years that I worked in the city of Johannesburg, I realized that for South Africa to move forward, it must not only succeed and prosper on its own, it has to prosper at a regional level. So opportunities that are created in South Africa, they also need to speak to opportunities around Southern Africa. That's why the programs we do here in South Africa, we don't do them only for South Africa or South Africans, we do them for the rest of the African continent. So we need to work together, all of us, to support young people, to provide opportunities for them to get jobs, but not only that, help them to move from learning to earning, help them to move from the classroom to the boardroom. That is what I am busy doing now. I've been doing this for a very, very, very long time. But in terms of capacity building for youth organizations in Africa, what are we actually doing as a chamber? We are providing support for core administrative capacities, providing training and professional development, and of course, support. We also provide access to resources and tools, network also, access to intermediaries, and we are also going to provide physical space. There's a building we are getting in Cape Town, which is a city like 2,000 kilometers from Johannesburg. Here, it is going to become a youth hub where young people who don't have money for internet connectivity, they can just come in there and connect to the internet. There will be training provided for them and then give them access to people who can help their organizations to succeed. But for us also to achieve this, for these young people in Africa to truly achieve their power, we need to sharpen their skills so that we make youth organizations more professional. We make youth-run businesses more professional. That is one of the key things that I am passionate about. So every single day, I always want to see how many young people can I support today? How many young people can I empower today? In closing, I want to mention something very, very important. There is something called the African Agenda 2063 of the African Union. When you go into this agenda, you will see that the African Union is speaking a lot about developing youth. If you go to the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN, they're also talking about developing youth. We want to bridge the gap between policy and implementation. What I know about Africa is that we come up with all of these policies, but policies cannot put food on the table. Policies on their own, they are not enough. They have to be implemented. And for them to be implemented, they have to be informed. So we inform policy with practice. That is what we want to do as an organization going forward. We want to scale this actually to great height so that we can present more opportunities to young people. I am truly passionate about youth development in Africa. And the reason why I'm choosing really not to focus in the creative sector is because there is a lot of opportunities in the creative sector. The barriers to entry are low. Actually, they don't exist. For a young person to go and act in a TV series or in a film, they're not going to ask you, show me your degrees. I've done a lot of casting, you know. I'm a producer myself. I'm a filmmaker. I'm a writer. I don't go out there and say, yeah, show me your degree. Can you play the part? So if we can strengthen the cultural exchange, for example, between India and the African continent, we can also be able to lift as many young people as possible out of poverty. India has Bollywood. In Africa, Nigeria has Nollywood. And I'm going to the US now. I'm setting up Afriwood in New York. Actually, Afriwood is an idea. I launched it here in South Africa back in 2016. I wanted to see how this idea was going to look like. A community, an African film community, a global African film community. Because film is an industry that has the power, like we see what is done in India, what is done in the United States, what is done in Nigeria. We can also be able to strengthen the partnership between film producers in India, their counterparts in South Africa, and in Nigeria. But at the same time, I also want to make sure that we can take the best practices of what is being done in India, what is being done in South Africa, what is being done in Nigeria, and expose American people to that, to those opportunities. So I don't just want to take what is in America to share with the world. I also want to take what is done here, in Africa, what is done in India, and share that with young people in the United States and in Canada and other parts of the globe as well. So I just want to thank you again for affording me this opportunity to come and share with you my understanding of African youth power. Like I said at the beginning, it's about giving young people the tools to control their own destinies, giving them the power to control circumstances. They are faced with many, many challenges of unemployment. We've seen many young people who are being radicalized in countries like Nigeria, who are actually made to become terrorists. And why are they actually drawn to those places like in Somalia, in Kenya also, and in Mozambique, next door to South Africa here, there was an attack in Mozambique. So it is primarily young people who are drawn into all of these platforms. If we don't create opportunities for young people, I have to say, there are so many other evil people out there who are going to radicalize these young people and turn them against their own societies, turn them against their own families. So we have to make sure that we use the knowledge we have, we use technology to provide more opportunities to young people so that we have a stable world. So if all these young people in the world are radicalized, where are we going to live? And where there's no peace, you can't invest. Where there's no peace, there's no trade. So promoting trade and investment also speaks to the ability of a particular nation to be stable politically, socially, culturally, so that people are able to come and bring their money into that particular nation, knowing that their investment is secure. That's what our chamber, by the way, has been doing since 2015. So in 4,895 days, the continent of Africa will have the world's biggest workforce. how do we prepare these young people today for that future? We have to open up, we have to support them, we have to empower them, we have to give them the platform to thrive. I've come to the end of my presentation. I'm going to be listening as well. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the importance of youth leadership. Greetings to all. I'm Pallavi P, an active member of YUCI, the host of the hour. Do we have any idea about iCampus Liberia? How can technology be given a new direction? Well, we can find out all our answers from the speaker of the hour, Sir Luther D. Jake. He is the CEO of iCampus Liberia, which focuses on shared innovation, co-working, and community space for organizations and individuals, focusing on the intersection of technology and entrepreneurship. He has 11 years of experience in information and communications technology sector. He is even the alumnus of Obama Foundation Leaders African programs. He holds diploma in leadership as well as in nonprofit organizational management. He holds several professional organizations certifications and diplomas in organizational and project management, information technology, and geographic information system, which is called GIS. His team has provided more than 4,500 Liberians and foreign nationals the opportunity to use Innovation Lab and gain new technology skills to empower these businesses and communities during iLab Liberia's Director of Training. He is driven by passion about the use of innovative technologies and collaborative spaces to
brilliant introduction. I'm proud to be on this Power Summit, Youth Power Summit. Like the introduction was just read. I'm Luther Jeke from Liberia, West Africa. So I run an organization called iCampus Liberia, which is Innovation Campus Liberia. Sorry, I was on my computer, but some of the challenges in Africa, I ran out of power. So I had to switch to my phone, but I just got electricity. So I will switch back when I get proper electricity. But thank you all. It's so interesting to see so many Africans and also our colleagues from India very interested in the future of Africa. And the future of any nation lies within the power of the youth. And business, of course, is one of the core drivers of any economy across the world. So I'm very happy to speak on the topic African businesses and entrepreneurship. As we move forward, with the 21st century, there are enormous challenges that Africa faces today. As a continent, even my country, Liberia, where we have less than 10% of the population that have access to electricity. We have less than 10% that have access to the internet. There's no real, robust pipe-borne water for the citizens to access. Illiteracy rate back a few years back was about 85%. We fought 14 years of civil war in Liberia as well. So the challenges are so many. And for us to move from these challenges and find opportunities is one of the key things we are focused on at iCampus. So basically, iCampus was set up as an institution back in 2016, but then we officially launched the space to the public in 2018. Liberia fought 14 years of civil war. We lost about 250,000 people through the civil war from 1989 to all the way 2003. Fighting among ourselves, infrastructure was damaged completely. We lost almost 2 decades, our generation. So there are just so many challenges, and these challenges are not unique to Liberia, for example. You go to Nigeria, you go to Ghana, you see these challenges there. But there are countries in Africa that are moving forward, right? In terms of their development agenda, in terms of social, economic development and all of that. So we at iCampus, what we are focused on is to provide a couple of things for young Liberians. Number one, we provide the space. Number two, we provide the resources. Three, give the young Liberians the skills where they can actively contribute to the social develop very robust business plan. When they develop the business plan, then we take them through a process where they will go and pitch their ideas. When they pitch their ideas, we have an independent panel that evaluate all of the pitches. And then once they do that, we select the winning businesses, and we give, and UNDP give them a seed funding between 30 to 40,000 United States dollars. And that enables them to scale their businesses from one level to another. Why am I giving this example? There are practical ways that we can be able to empower young Africans. Too often, people come and dictate, or, people from the Western world come and tell you, this is what you need to do to move your country forward. This is what you need to do to develop yourself as a person. But we believe, the previous speaker just spoke about power. We believe that if young Africans can have the skills they need, they can have the resources, and they can have the network and environment they need to be able to strive, they can basically they can contribute positively to the growth and development of Africa. So, Africa has an interesting population, very youthful population as compared to other continents. Even Liberia, we have more than 60% of our population that are below the age of 35. And these are the people that are electing public officials. These are the people that are contributing from the business to politics to, economics of every single country in Africa. So what we are saying, as we speak to our counterparts in India, in Europe, in other places, Africa has so much potential. And we've demonstrated this over the last, 10 or so decades. We've contributed to science and technology. Africans have built, systems across the world, contributing to the growth and development of the United States, contributing to the growth and India, other countries across Asia. We believe that Africans have the power to transform Africa. So we keep encouraging, our partners, our counterparts. I want to say thanks to the, um, the Youth Council of India that organized this summit so that Africans, can showcase their talents and tell the world that, yes, whatever is happening in India, these transformation, whatever is happening in Europe, these transformation, they too can happen in Africa. And we've done it. So we just keep, as trailblazers, as leaders in Africa, young African leaders, we keep encouraging that, Africans, let's take charge of our economy, take charge of our politics. And whatever you do, whether you are into education, whether you are into health, whether you're into politics, you should always have that positive mindset that whatever you do in your little community, it affects the growth, either positively or negatively, of your country, not just your country, but the African continent in whole. So, other African colleagues on here, I want to thank you all so much. And, I want to say to our counterparts in India that, Africa has so much potential. Let's find new partnership. Let's find ways to share ideas. Let's find ways to share knowledge. Let's network and see how Africans can contribute not just to Africa, but to India and the rest of the world. I want to thank you all very much. I know I'm having so much challenges with the internet and my computer today, but I want to thank you all so much. And Africa Rising, let's keep doing this, and Africa will move forward, and new partnerships with other countries across the world can take us to higher high. I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking out your time for this event. Now, proceeding further, I am Shaina Srivastava, the host of the hour. It is rightly said, proving the statement right, we welcome our next speaker, Sir Nguyen Phu. He is an educator, an entrepreneur, and a social activist, and has held various eminent positions at several institutes. From a math school teacher at Le Ishmael High School to becoming president at Green Farm GSC, Happy Children Forum, GVC Vietnam, and Ganoi International Association. Sir Nguyen Phu truly showed if someone has a desire to achieve something big and has the persistence as well as hardworking spirit, the paths are automatically created. We welcome you, sir, and with this, over to you.
Hello?
Hi everyone, greeting from Billis.
Okay.
Can you start my video?
Okay. Hello.
Greeting from Vietnam. I am Nguyễn Phú. Now we're talking about the children, so I want to present my son. Minh can talk about this topic.
Okay. Let's start. So, what's the slideshow? Here.
Chia sẻ vào đây sao?
Tôi đang chia sẻ ảnh. Children. Can you listen to me clearly?
It's still echoing.
Okay.
Uh,
Now okay? Everything okay?
yes. Yes.
So,
Nhìn màn hình cho tự tin cho tôi.
so this is our slogan.
Và từ chào.
Do it even small makes our children happy, make our children active. This is our content. Valuables and useful topics and happy moments. This is our topics. Fun science and technologies, fun mathematics, fun arts and music, and fun educational games. We'll get into that later. Active children, make your children active. 6, a Zen heart. Topic 7, mini garden project. Topic 8, good health. Topic 9, future leader. Topic 10, magic world. Topic 11, beloved family. Fun maths. Algebra, geometry, math games, applied math. Join AMC, SASMO, ZAC, CAM Standard. Fun art and music, creative arts and painting. Music's for playful, peaceful soul. Music and art history. Fun science technologies. Discover tech world. Discover science world. Useful internet. STEMs and creative robot. Fun educational games. Give our children truly relaxing moments with fun games for educational and wisdom. Mini garden education project. Our children will have more knowledge about nature, financial management through many projects on agriculture to help them to inspire the dreams of getting rich and have responsibilities for families and societies, etc. Give children soft skill management, practice good habit, practice self-reliance, practice discipline himself, set personal goal, for good health, guide for good health, with eating and drinking, dancing, sport habit, practice to become a future leader, train our children in leadership thinking and skill to have the abilities to lead the team and community with hypothetical models of business, laws, and politics. Zen heart. Meditation to get a peaceful and calm. One of the most important things to have for a happy life. Quotes. What humanity owes to personalized personalities like Buddha, Moses, and Jesus ranks for me higher than our achievement of the inquiring and constructive mind. Unquote. Our Einstein. Love a family. Teach to know about gratitude. Teach to know about sharing. Teach to know about sympathy and teach to know about empathy. Let to know love. One magic world. Give children more knowledge around the world rather than become global citizens. An example lessons about the topics mini garden education project. With each team with 3 or more members, the amount of money about $5. Children works by team to research about the way to grow and care a milky mushroom and sell the product to get profit. Okay.
Ví dụ cháu nói luôn.
Next one. Example lessons. Oh, through this. This. Oh, this. The result after this lesson is skills, market knowledge, object management, project management, teamwork, and protect nature. Children, the owners of the world and future. Effective and sustainable development associated with social responsibilities, creation, enterprising, connect children around the world. Our main focus, we want to build a communities for children, global happy children forum, where the children around the world become leaders and owners to build a happy and succeed future. Do more and more for the children, to add even the smaller, makes our children active, make our children happy. Many thanks. If you have any questions, we contact us happychildrenbox@gmail.com. And here's today's WhatsApp. I'm done.
That's it.
So any questions?
That was really an enlightening session by Nitin Few. Now, I, Sanjana Katoch, an active member of YUCI, takes this opportunity to welcome our next speaker, Mohammed Elsrah. As it is rightly said, the more you work hard, the better are the results. A brief introduction about our speaker. Mohammed Elsrah is a business transformation visionary entrepreneur with global excellence expertise in 500 top Fortune corporates, high-tech startups, global supply chain, and blockchain transformation. He is digital and operational transformation board advisor, multinational operations, and national regulatory, with operational volume of 40 plus billion euro corporates and NGO organization, where responsibilities are new cities logistical infrastructure and new extension of national canal logistical strategic support. Forming supply chain, center of excellence, full design of target operation, models including organization, process, systems, KPI mentoring, and training. He is even the vice chairman for International Chamber of Commerce of Ukraine and board lead of Digital and Business Transformation. He is the head of Digital Transformation Committee in Arab Women Investment Union. He is responsible for optimizing 10 plus EBITDA for 3 international groups of yearly operational size over 150 billion euros through digital profitability transformation. He is even the lecturer in several institutions within Europe and Middle East and main keynote speaker in top 10 digital supply chain transformation and innovation conferences and summits within Europe. He is even the interim CEO and COO for several multinational operations transition MA period to set up. He is even the founder and board member of 10 companies with operational size over 120 million. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I see lots of really brilliant speakers in the forum, and I have one of my main passions related to Africa and digital transformation of Africa. That's why I'm coming here today for this forum. And actually, I shared one material related to digital transformation to discuss about it. But before I share the material, I need just to give a little bit of a brief about how important is the digital transformation nowadays. I believe most of the speakers who really before me started to share some of these points. Nevertheless, I can add that the world itself not possible to be coping with the development without being digitally enabled, because this is very important point, and there is connectivity challenge within Africa where it need to be worked out to make sure that we are all connected and we can really contribute on the world development, because we have the most valuable source as a Africa to develop the whole world. And of course, because I'm Egyptian and African proud person, I have many programs which is related to development of African digital transformation. And I was honored to be part of lots of boards for development infrastructure and digital in Africa. Now I will share my screen related to the document that I need to share with you. So actually digital transformation and mainly supply chain. And why supply chain? Because supply chain contributing on all economies development in different countries. So using digital enabled platform for supply chain, it can completely transform the economy of any country. And in Africa, we have lots of natural resources which could be shared to the world through the digital channels. So accordingly, it's very essential to have this digital transformation supply chain knowledge. Accordingly, we can go the main points. I will not just take much of it. This is a glimpse of the points that we will touch. Actually, the positioning of supply chain, lots of people was knowing supply chain as a logistics in the beginning, but now through the journey, it went to the blockchain and big data and robotics and 3D printing, which is very, very important methods to improve your supply chain to make sure that you can contribute globally. So this is mainly the digital journey of supply chain as we speak. And there is already some potentials I will discuss about later, what could be more. For the supply chain main points that you need just to think about digitally, what kind of elements can help you in predictive analysis for your supply chain, for sales, events, promotions, prices, channels, which is use sales channels, whether or the products itself. So accordingly, for example, if we say the dashboards, which can help you to see the performance of your supply chain, what kind of planning that you can have as a details to give time for the start or the beginning of your delivery till the end, having historical data, which can give you a quickly overview for availability of solving any problems, having a track for changeovers for the processes, or real-time performance for the traceability for delivery. You have also in real-time supply chain, before it was batches of processing or planning or runs for the runs, or some of the constraints related to the planning for manual work, or there was no much of planning through IT support. But now there is more interactive real-time planning, there is more capacity and material planning, there is smart automated systems to make sure that this is easy. Actually, if we see that who use actually this kind of transformation, part of it, we can see Ford. Ford as a car, you can, before it was actually standard sets of cars, but now because of the digital interaction, you can customize, you can on real time put your features, like you need the color of the door or the color of the ceiling or the color of the seats. You have a personalized contribution actually in some customized features of your car, which was not there before. And accordingly, this is linked to the supply chain where they need to customize the material and so on and so forth. There is also different technologies which came to the warehouses. So warehouses before, it's having your piles of stock or inventory in the warehouse, but how you interact quickly with the warehouse. So nowadays there is already smart glasses for video streaming, and there is a smart pallet where your container could be by the barcode, you can locate it. or optimized algorithms for the inventory, or using, of course, RFID. There is also, for digital transformation of supply chain, we have the main pillars of transport execution, transport planning, execution, and sourcing. This triangle of the transport is very important for how you can perform your logistics delivery. So if you see, there are already lots of digital channels who can help you to track your delivery. Multiple companies now, you can track where is your container, where is your goods, what can be the case of your shipments, and what kind of cost saving because of the routing, that you can have a smart routing, what kind of saving in CO2 emission to save the environment. So all this already exists, and all this needed in Africa to make sure that we can really have a smart supply chain. The last point related to the integration of blockchain and big data. So we have different technologies, which is actually helping now even furthermore to the supply chain and the digital transformation of supply chain, using a big data for data analytics and forecasting, and using also the blockchain, which is very important to have the genuine products delivery in our planning, and validity or validation for the genuinity of the products itself. So actually, there is already multiple items that should be contributing to your organization to make sure that you can use this smartly, which is having enabled collaboration in the ecosystem, building digital supply chain capabilities within the organization, manage data as a valuable asset, implementing speed system data architecture, and managing cybersecurity. So these are the elements which is very important if I'm going to digital supply chain. Actually, based on the survey, so in different corporates and different organizations and different governments, and the outcome of that, see that 90% of the data in the world today has been created in the last almost 2 years alone. And this is reference from IBM as a reporting. And actually, for the speed of utilization, 4.25 times improved already of the speed of the functionality. The improvement of supply chain, as an example, is with Cisco. They had issues in their supply chain. They have simplified operations using 95% out of the box ERP functionality, consolidated multiple supply chain ERP into one, migrated all the supply chain process to highly resilient data centers. And these are the actions that they did to make sure that they are contributing into the market and to have a market growth. And accordingly, as a result, they had 30 to 50% reduction of the time to market, 25% reduction in product touches, and 73% reduction in the ordering cycle, which has improved their sales and contributed, of course, to their revenues. Same for Intel, where they improved their ERP systems and web-based invoicing and automated order management. And this is results was 50% faster roadmap and 65% shorter lead times, inventory reduction by 32%, and 3 times faster in response to customers. Same for Dell as well. And actually, we have this points which is contributing to how I could be agile in supply chain. How can I be, as a market in Africa, contributing to the world? We need to consider these into our either governments or in our products or our corporates within Africa, to make sure that we are really looking forward to digital enabled deliveries. But actually, there are some points which is very important to consider related to what is next. In supply chain, what could be next in the future? Actually, fulfilling the customer demands before ordering it, it's already planned, which is actually by the behavior. So you can see that the behavior of our buying, giving us or giving the corporates who's using digital supply chain the predictivity of what is needed in the future. And fulfilling the customer demand before ordering, some of the cases, which is we have either smart watches which is connected to the doctors to make sure that you can they can have a connection to know that you have challenge in your health or whatever. So there are smart watches. There is a smart fridge now which is can give you what kind of balances within your fridge to need to order or to plan your orders. So there are many things which is really future in the supply chain, which is will contribute even more. So accordingly, Africa needs lots of contribution from us and from everybody around to go to digitally enabled and to make sure that we can contribute to the world economy. So this is basically the expectations which I see. And if there is any questions or any expectations from any of the attendees, please let me know. So then this is from my side, and I believe if anyone on the board of this call need any support or any advice related to the digital transformation of supply chain or digital transformation in general to support, please let me know and we can reach out to you directly. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that thoughtful presentation, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
As it's rightly said, anything that doesn't kill makes you stronger. With this, we welcome our next speaker, Billis, who is a Guinean blogger and web activist very committed to his community. He co-founded OpenStreetMap Guinea with his friends in 2015. He worked in many projects with a digital orientation. In turn, he was technical manager and assistant of the Guinea Vote project in 2015, technical manager of the Lahiti project between 2016 and 2017, and the main organizer of the digital forum at Fortehe in 2019. He's even a digital consultant and has led numerous online citizen mobilization campaigns in his country. His commitment and determination in favor of responsible and enhanced citizenship earned him the honor of the first edition of CFI Media Connection Citoyens in 2016. Mr. Sow was also nominated in 2018 among the 100 most influential young people in West Africa. In March 2019, he had launched a crowdfunding campaign to renovate the health post and benefit from a bed, childbirth, and several utilities for its proper functioning. At the age 28, this blogger from RFI, Mondoblog, is also a member of the Afrique Diversities Network of the Association of Bloggers of Guinea, observer of France, reporter of the Loudspeakers of TV5 Monte, and coordinator of the Association Villagers 2.0, whose the aim is to educate citizens. With this, we welcome you, sir.
Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Merci beaucoup. Désolé que je parle en français parce que j'entends un peu l'anglais, mais parfois j'ai des difficultés à m'en expliquer. Désolé. Je vais essayer d'aller petit à petit. Merci pour la brillante présentation de ma personne et merci aux précédents intervenants. C'est une véritable occasion pour moi et pour beaucoup d'autres jeunes Africains de partager les opportunités d'innovation, notamment dans le domaine du numérique qu'on peut trouver en Afrique présentement. Et ce que je vais dire aujourd'hui, le numérique est une véritable opportunité pour les jeunes Africains. Ça nous permet de nous libérer beaucoup plus du salariat dans les entreprises et ça crée aussi assez d'opportunités. Il y a aussi aujourd'hui ce que je vais essayer un peu de rappeler. Depuis 2018, il y a une grosse avancée dans la numérisation, entre guillemets, du continent africain. Si je prends les statistiques de World State en 2018, nous sommes passés en 2011 de 13,5% à 28% de taux d'utilisation de l'Internet sur le continent africain. Donc, cette percée de la connectivité prouve à suffisance qu'il y a des opportunités. Malgré les obstacles que je vais énumérer plus tard, il y en a aussi. Donc aujourd'hui, si nous prenons du côté des opportunités, les civil tech se développent partout en Afrique. Nous innovons dans plusieurs domaines. Nous parlons de la gouvernance, nous parlons de la transparence budgétaire, nous parlons d'assez de choses dans nos domaines. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, c'est une véritable opportunité pour l'Afrique, les technologies de l'information et de la communication. Si nous voyons dans le domaine sanitaire, il y a, avec la pandémie, nous avons compris qu'il y avait aussi des choses à refaire et à innover. Beaucoup de jeunes se sont donnés corps et âme pour pouvoir le faire. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui...
Pardon, Sali, bonjour.
Bonjour.
Sali, bonjour. J'aimerais faire la traduction en anglais. Alors, si tu peux aller lentement, tu parles en français. Moi, je vais faire l'interprétation en anglais parce qu'il y a des gens qui ne comprennent pas la langue française. Je ne sais pas si c'est possible parce qu'ils ont dit que je peux le faire.
Ok. Vas-y, je vais aller doucement.
Okay, so sorry, colleagues. I've asked if I can actually interpret while he's speaking in French. I can translate directly in English. So he can just give me a space to summarize what he's saying. So I am ready. So, okay, on peut y aller alors.
Alors, je disais que les innovations à travers le numérique est une véritable opportunité pour l'Afrique.
He's saying that there's innovation in Africa around data, and this is a very good opportunity for the African continent.
Nous avons vu avec la
pandémie... Continuez, je vais parler comme ça.
Et nous avons vu avec la pandémie de COVID-19 qu'il y avait beaucoup de choses à faire dans le domaine sanitaire surtout.
We saw that during the COVID pandemic, we had so many things to do in the space of health care and innovation.
Donc aujourd'hui, le numérique est une force pour la réussite, je dirais même, de la jeunesse africaine.
And today, data management is a very, very important tool for young people in Africa.
Donc, discuter aujourd'hui de cette thématique avec d'autres personnes qui ne connaissent forcément pas l'Afrique, je pense que c'est tout bénéf pour nous, les autres du jeunes.
And it's not really important for us to be engaging with people who do not understand this subject in Africa, especially when it comes to young people.
Donc, je dirais tout simplement que si je prends le cas du domaine des civitech, il y a assez d'innovation, notamment dans le domaine de la redevabilité, mais aussi et de la transparence.
And he's talking now on the issue of civic governance, that there's a lot of innovation in the space of governance and accountability.
Donc, ce sont là, entre autres, des innovations, mais je pense que je mettrai beaucoup plus un accent sur ce que j'appellerais les logiciels libres, les logiciels de vie.
So these are the kind of innovation that he's talking about, but he sees this more importantly on the logistics of life or openness in the space of technology.
Alors, le logiciel libre, contrairement au logiciel propriétaire, permettent aux jeunes de pouvoir aller beaucoup plus loin dans le code source des différents logiciels qu'on nous donne à utiliser constamment.
Open source as an opportunity gives young people a platform to go far deeper into developing the knowledge and the ideas they have.
Donc, il est très difficile pour quelqu'un de se développer avec un outil dont il ne maîtrise pas le code source.
It is very difficult for somebody to develop with a tool they don't know the foundation of.
Donc,
and the tools for which they don't have the resources for.
Donc, je pense qu'aujourd'hui, ce sont là des opportunités qui existent et qui sont sous-exploitées, je dirais pas.
And I will say today that these are the opportunities that are available, but they are underutilized by
Il y a une
the
faible promotion
youth in Africa.
de ces utilisations.
Veuillez répéter ça?
Je dis aujourd'hui que le problème est qu'on a une faible promotion de ces logiciels libres. On fait beaucoup plus la promotion des logiciels propriétaires.
Okay, today we are promoting only the platforms that are to pay, but we are not promoting platforms that are freely available for young people. And that is where the opportunities lie.
Donc, il est parfois difficile pour les jeunes africains de chercher même une licence de Microsoft Office, alors qu'en utilisant OpenOffice, LibreOffice, c'est bien possible d'y aller.
It is very difficult today for young people in Africa to use even a Microsoft Office. That is actually expensive, even though there are other free platforms that can be utilized and used as well to achieve the same objectives.
Je comprends un peu le problème à ce niveau, mais je crois qu'aujourd'hui, le véritable enjeu, ce serait d'amplifier l'inclusion dans le domaine numérique parce qu'il y a une absence totale de l'inclusion.
What I think needs to be done now is the digital inclusion of young people in that space. We do have a lot of problems, but an opportunity here lies in including as many young people as possible in the digital space, or the digital community or economy, as it were.
Donc, pour pouvoir davantage faire profiter à la jeunesse africaine les opportunités du 21e siècle, je dirais avec le digital, il faut aussi lutter contre la fracture numérique.
To open opportunities for young people in Africa in the 21st century, we also need to open up the market because it's very, very expensive for them to access opportunities digitally.
Accroître aussi l'éducation numérique.
We also need to increase the digital skills.
Donc, je pense que si dans ce domaine, cible d'enclencher le processus.
So if we succeed in that space, we are going to open more opportunities.
Il y a aussi la disparité qui existe entre pays anglophones et pays francophones, parce qu'on considère que les pays francophones sont un peu en retard par rapport aux pays anglophones.
And there is also this big disconnect between English-speaking countries and French-speaking countries. He sees that French-speaking countries are way behind in terms of technology compared to their English counterparts.
Donc, il faudrait davantage renforcer le lien entre les différents pays malgré les barrières linguistiques.
We need to promote collaboration and cooperation amongst many countries in Africa, despite the challenges presented by different languages spoken actually in these various countries.
Donc, les jeunes peuvent certes s'adonner au digital, mais n'oublions pas aussi il y a beaucoup de coupures Internet délibérées sur le continent africain, surtout à l'approche des processus électoraux.
Young people can get involved in the digital space in Africa, but we know that we also have problems where intentionally government disconnect the internet when it comes to the election.
Donc, il est certes important d'amener les jeunes vers l'outil digital afin qu'ils saisissent des opportunités, mais il faudrait que le cadre réglementaire soit respecté par nos États aussi.
It is one thing to bring young people to this platform in the digital economy, but the other thing is that our governments need to respect the rules of the game, the rules of the law from a policy perspective.
Donc, si cela est fait, ça va nous permettre, nous jeunes Africains, d'aller beaucoup plus dans les différentes innovations sociales, surtout.
And if this is allowed, it is going to give us, as young people in Africa, an opportunity to go into the space of social innovation.
Alors, l'autre aspect aussi que je soulèverais, c'est un peu le suivisme. C'est-à-dire, quand je parle du suivisme, c'est la innovation au Rwanda n'est pas forcément de la même manière qu'en Guinée.
So he's saying that when it comes also to innovation, we need to know that the innovation in Rwanda is not going to be the same innovation in Guinea. It will not work the same way.
Donc, il faudrait aussi que nous nous adaptions aux réalités de nos différentes communautés et de nos différents pays. C'est extrêmement important dans l'innovation.
When it comes to innovation, we need to take that in cognizance, the fact that, you know, we've got different communities, we've got different realities as well at country level. So we must always have that at the back of our mind as we go into this innovation space.
Donc, ça va nous permettre beaucoup plus de relever le défi du futur.
It is also going to be an opportunity that will open us. It is going to be a program that will open opportunities for us in the future.
Donc, comprendre ces différents genres aussi, il y a un autre aspect qui se rajoute, c'est un peu l'état vieillissant des infrastructures parfois sur le continent.
One of the other key aspects that I want to speak about is the aging of infrastructure on the African continent.
Donc, si on encourage les jeunes, on a vu qu'avec cet outil, on peut vraiment se développer et développer nos pays, mais il faudrait aussi des investissements.
If we are going to be using some of these tools in Africa, and many of them are actually old, we need investment in those particular spaces from an infrastructure perspective to move young people forward in the tech space.
Donc, le problème à ce niveau est, on voit souvent nos États préférés, entre guillemets, excusez-moi, financer des troisièmes mandats qui est de financer des centres de formation professionnelle.
And it is for this reason that you will see many leaders in Africa trying to finance their third mandate in the office instead of funding centers of excellence when it comes to innovation and technology in their various countries.
Donc, il faudrait un peu un réveil de conscience de la part, surtout de nos dirigeants. Les jeunes sont certes prêts à répondre aux défis, mais il faudrait qu'il y ait une politique derrière.
Young people are ready to get ahead, to get involved, but we need to raise the consciousness of our leaders because sometimes they don't think the same level as young people.
Donc, je pense déjà que même ce forum est une véritable opportunité, est une véritable aubaine pour l'ensemble des jeunes du monde, parce qu'il y a énormément de jeunes de par le monde, d'échanger les bonnes pratiques.
And I think an opportunity like this one presented by the forum can become a platform where young people from all over the globe, not only in Africa or India, they'll be able to share their best practices and ideas on how they can collaborate and cooperate.
Donc, essayer d'échanger les bonnes pratiques va permettre aux uns et aux autres de comprendre les différents enjeux locaux de chaque territoire.
So by exchanging ideas, global best practices, we will be able to allow each and every one of us to understand the realities of the specific countries and how we can also apply that in our own context.
Alors, avant de finir, pour ne pas que l'opportunité du numérique se tourne à un mirage, je propose en réalité d'encourager beaucoup plus les innovations axées sur le développement.
I want us to open more opportunities for access to technology, digital space that are open.
Plus particulièrement aussi en Afrique, d'adapter le cursus de formation à l'évolution du monde, pas à l'évolution uniquement du continent africain, parce que c'est extrêmement important.
We need to adapt in Africa the best practices that are happening at a global level, not only the ideas or the solutions that are made for Africa.
Mais aussi de renforcer surtout les dynamiques des jeunes existantes sur le continent africain en lien avec les autres jeunes du monde entier.
We need to strengthen the capacity of young people in Africa in connection with their counterparts in other parts of the globe.
Pensez maintenant aussi à des stratégies pour que chaque pays africain puisse s'ouvrir à d'autres pour créer des consortiums, des centres d'intérêt plus particuliers et plus poussés avec des objectifs précis.
We also need to make sure that countries in Africa open themselves up and set up infrastructures, resources, opportunities, and centers that will have objectives to move the continent forward.
L'autre aspect aussi, il faudrait s'adonner à la lutte, c'est un peu la fracture numérique parce que ça accentue beaucoup plus les inégalités.
One of the other things that we need to look at is the cost of the digital cost. It is actually that is going to increase the inequality in the world.
Donc, je pense qu'en répondant un peu beaucoup plus à ces différents aspects et en voyant aussi l'évolution du continent africain, parce qu'on a beaucoup plus de jeunes, si je prends le cas de la Guinée.
And by doing this, we will be able to strengthen the capacity of the African continent, because in the case of Guinea, for example, there's a lot of young people who have got ideas.
Donc, on a beaucoup plus de jeunes ici, mais la qualité parfois de la formation ne s'y est pas. Donc, il faudrait réajuster certaines choses pour que nous ne rations pas le rendez-vous du 22e siècle, on n'a pas du 21e.
So we don't want to miss the opportunities of the 21st century. In the case of Guinea, there are so many young people here who are very much interested, but the quality of training leaves so much to be desired for. Ok, il faut s'arrêter.
Ah, ok. Merci beaucoup. Merci à tous et à toutes. Et merci pour la traduction. Et désolé de n'avoir pas un anglais aussi si collé que les autres. Merci.
No, thank you so much, everyone. He's also actually apologizing that he doesn't know, a lot of English, but I mean, I've been able to try also my best to make that happen. So thank you guys for your time. Mon frère, merci beaucoup aussi pour ta présentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking out your time for this event and making us aware about the challenges and the current opportunities for the youth. And I would also like to say special thanks to Johnny, sir, for interpreting it in English for our fellow viewers. Coming up next is Azola Mezenka Daba, the speaker who is very well renowned in the world with his work. Sir Azola has a very vast experience of working for an economic development consultancy for the largest real estate investment trust listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. He possesses a vast experience in community participation consultation in the construction and property-related service space. He specializes in high voltage negotiation and conflict situation between local communities and contractors on development projects and existing assets. He even led various healthcare projects in collaboration with the National Department of Health in rural and remote areas for vulnerable groups, such as ex-mine workers. He worked in various projects, particularly in South Africa, and scaled them up to Botswana, Mozambique, Lesotho for the provision of healthcare services. The feather on the cap is that he is Mandela Washington Fellow for Young African Leaders 2019. He even attended a professional development program specializing in public management in the United States. We welcome you, sir, and over to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for the lovely words. It's such a great opportunity to be here and to be part of this, event. Like the youth is an integral and important part of, growing any economy, and particularly the continent of Africa. So thank you to the organizers from the Youth Council of India for such a beautiful event. I've been listening to some of the speaker, even the speaker before me, French speaking, and that just speaks to the diversity and the differences that are prevalent within the economy. So from my side, I'm just really going to talk about African business and entrepreneurship. And I'm really going to model most of my talk around an article or a report which was written by Genesis Analytics. And Genesis Analytics was looking at about 4,000 small businesses. And the small businesses which it looked at, it was a sample size primarily, which is from 8 different African countries, being Cote d'Ivoire, DRC, Kenya, Mauritius, Nigeria, Senegal, and South Africa. But be that as it may, this sample size of the only 8 countries is really representative of the population of 54 million countries in Africa. So without further ado, I'm just going to look at where business is going. And basically, I'm going to look at 5 areas. And these 5 areas are essentially the digital economy in Africa. And I think a lot of the speakers, even previous to me, have talked a lot about the digital economy. And I think this speaks to the importance of this segment in growing the African economy. So I'm also going to be looking at harnessing the energy of a young population. we have an extremely young population, and I believe that is a competitive advantage within Africa, and it's something that we really, really, really need to leverage on. Then I'm also going to be looking at bringing more women into the economy, and also boosting economic diversity and intra-Africa trade, as well as unlocking those opportunities. So at a high level, the opportunities are really that we have an extremely young population, and whether we recognize this or not, this is a long-term competitive advantage, because most of the developments and most of development in business in general is done by a young population. Here in South Africa, I'm also considered as part of the youth. The youth, according to Stats South Africa, is under 35s, and myself, I fall in that demographic, and we're seeing a lot of advancements in business and trade in South Africa and other African countries to be in this group. The second group, as I said before, is bringing more women into the formal economy. And when I say formal economy, is because like in Africa, at a high level, like majority of the entrepreneurs are actually women, but that is in informal trade and small scale business. But like we need to be moving more women into the formal economic activity. And the third opportunity is intra-Africa trade. So when we look at small businesses, so I think South Africa in general has a big opportunity to focus on small growing businesses. And focusing on small growing businesses is important because 95% of total employment on the continent is based in small growing businesses. So the importance that needs to be placed in Africa around these small growing businesses and the development of these small growing businesses, there are multiple agencies within all different African countries which look at supporting small growing businesses. And we need more of that support in terms of access to finance, support in terms of, access to markets, supply chain diversification. I think those are really important things when we're looking at small growing businesses, because as I said, 95% of total employment is based in these small growing businesses. So one of the ways in which we can achieve like the growth of these small growing businesses is digital adaptation. So it's moving into a digital economy. And the movement of a digital economy will result in high rates of employment creation and job creation. Digital tools currently in Africa, as other speakers have said, the previous speaker before me was talking about the high cost of data, and that's one of the barriers to entry for a lot of entrepreneurs. So if the data costs can be reduced, we can improve the efficiency of businesses. And we've really seen this with COVID, like the digital economy has been expedited by the coronavirus since March 2020. And we see that this has eliminated the need for infrastructure. And for small businesses, this is very important because once you've eliminated the infrastructure costs or the need to have rental costs, it's a significant, cost on your overhead expenditure. And what it does, it allows the entrepreneur to be able to participate in the economy more easier. The digital economy has helped us to connect with startups, to mass markets, as well as foreign markets. It also provides solutions in financing, skills development, recruitment, and networking. I'll speak about this a little bit further a bit later. But as I said, 4,000 businesses were surveyed in this particular report, and 65% of these businesses have increased their social media usage and their online messaging during the COVID-19 pandemic in order to be more accessible to their customers, to communicate easier with their customers, to operate remotely, to raise capital and make sales. Over half of these businesses have been able to stay in business only as a result of the digital economy. So also we can look at the youth. 60% of Africans are younger than the age of 24 compared to just 16.6% in Europe. By 2025, almost half of the quarter of the world population will be younger than 24. who will be in sub-Saharan Africa. A young Africa has the opportunity to reap a massive demographic dividend. So as we see, like having a young population, we would be able to, capitalize on the youth, the ideas from this. And we have seen this, this gainful economic activity was quite a factor in the Asian tigers in 1990. So this is not something that's new. Having a young population really does help an economy grow. And we can take lessons, like a lot of lessons, which we have seen from countries like South Korea, as I said, with the Asian tigers. So this is one of the aspects in which we should be looking at. How do we improve youth business, and how do we make business easier for the youth, and there are a lot of agencies which are focusing primarily on youth and providing finance to youth. But however, when we look at the youth, we've seen that they are really engaging in businesses which are less capital intensive, because capital has been one of the barriers to entry for a lot of the youth. So also the challenges of youth business with so much unemployment, young people in Africa are under pressure now. We are under pressure to be entrepreneurs, to get our own jobs. Here in South Africa, like an expanded definition of unemployment sees youth at an unemployment rate of over 74% or around 74%. And that is an extremely high rate of unemployment. And we see this mirrored all across Africa. So right now, the challenge we are facing with the youth is that we need to be able to create our own jobs. However, we do have limited finances, we do have insufficient skills, and some of us have a great aversion to risk, which is often exacerbated by the environment in which we find ourselves operating in. However, we're not here to be despondent. There are solutions, there are agencies, there are even institutions like this which are allowing such talks to happen, and we're able to gain insights and to really grow our networks. This is an opportunity also to grow our networks, to learn and to leverage off each other. So these challenges do come with opportunities, and the opportunity there is for us to grow underdeveloped markets within Africa. And we have so many underdeveloped markets here in Africa that needs development, of which I'll speak about a little bit further. So as Africa's youth population grows, job creation is a challenge. In 2019, almost 1 of 5 African youths were not in employment, education, and training. This is called NEETs, not educated, not employed, and not trained. Young people are already making 60% of the unemployed people in Africa, while the number of young people are still living in poverty. So one of the ways in which I believe we can, look to make sure that we can increase our employment rate is to include women. Bringing women into the more formal economy and creating a more equitable economic activity means more energy, it means more ideas, it means more creativity, and the whole population can be employed. Because now the exclusion of women in the formal economy is also a contributing factor to the challenges that we are facing. One of the studies shows by one estimate that gender equity in economy could contribute a further 10% to the combined increase of GDP in Africa by 2025. So sub-Saharan Africa achieves relatively high levels of female entrepreneurship, with women comprising 60% of the continent's entrepreneurs. However, it is really that the data is, the 60% is showing more in the informal economy, but we need more women in the formal economy. And when we try to bring it back to the digital economy in Africa, we are seeing that women are actually employing most of the digital activity. A lot of studies show that women are using digital technology more than their male counterparts. And I think we even see this, just in our general day-to-day lives, where women are employing technology way more than their male counterparts. So a study also using Twitter data has showed that all tweets of hashtag small businesses, 72% of those were tweeted by females and only 28% of those tweeted by males. So we are seeing an increase in uptake of women leveraging off using social media using any digital platform in order to grow their business, as seen in the study by Twitter, which is looking at hashtag small businesses. However, as I said before, it is absolutely imperative for us when we're looking at the digital economy to have a more inclusive economy with regards to our gender. So, like, I've talked a lot about digital economy, and I think one of the building blocks or enabling factors for a digital economy is access to affordable and fast internet connection. This has been mentioned a lot. Like, there needs to be infrastructural development, development into fiber, into data costs. And this is an opportunity. This proves an opportunity to any young person who wants to gainfully and meaningfully participate in the digital economy to look at, starting ISPs, looking at fiber, solutions, fiber infrastructure. That is where the world is going. Also, we have, limited access to digital devices. So how can we as young people provide more access to digital devices to be able to use the internet? Also access to know how to productively and safely navigate, this digital world. So there is a lack of access of skills. We need to have, maybe be looking at chatbots, anything that is allowing young people to learn, to grow their skills, to be able to be computer savvy and be able to use the whole host of computer services that are available. So this is access to digital tools and access to content in general. So these are very important things which we can look at in terms of growing our digital economy. So also, what I would like to speak about is the 5 types of digital platforms across Africa. So as everyone would know, e-commerce is one of them. So in e-commerce has grown rapidly, and we see this in Nigeria. Nigeria's Juma, South Africa's Takealot, Ghana's Kikuo Express have allowed SMMEs to be able to sell, the different products across geographies. Food delivery platforms like Odakasi, Yebo Fresh, and Malaika delivering food to townships in South Africa. Malaika is targeted at migrants who buy groceries to be delivered to their families in Zimbabwe as well as Malawi. So this is also looking at intercontinental trade. You're here in South Africa, you're buying groceries for your family in Zimbabwe or Malawi. And this is just as a consequence of like an increase in e-commerce. So in 2020, Senegal's Ministry of Trade and Small Enterprise launched 2 e-commerce platforms, a platform for referencing and qualification. And this is basically an educational platform. It's called e-commerce Senegal, and a merchant marketplace called e-comcom. So we've also seen a big rise, obviously, in e-hailing. This is like calling taxis through an app. Here in South Africa, what is prevalent is Uber and Bolt. They have been able to unlock a lot of demand in terms of the transportation industry and, really just connecting one user to another. And when we look at other, countries within Africa, we're seeing little. We can see Can Go, Twende, and Save Bodo. And over and above this, there's also our e-learning platforms. The DRC has developed an ITC platform, Alu Ecole, that collects and shares data efficiently with a variety of shareholders among the parents and government officials in the education sector. So over and above just looking at e-learning, there's also job matching platforms. As we said, we're not only looking at the problems that we have. Of course, I've mentioned the unemployment rate, but here are job matching platforms which are allowing us to be able to, curb the unemployment rates. So matching platforms have brought down costs of finding work. Like a lot of us will probably know, when you're looking maybe for your first job as a young person or just looking for a job in general, it is quite expensive to look for a job. So we have got these job matching platforms. In South Africa, platforms like SweepSouth, Kandua, Clockwork have created new income generating opportunities by making it easier for artisanal jobs without having to travel long from home and spend on advertising or building deep client relationships. So this is really like an Uber or a Bolt for connecting artisans or tradesmen with prospective contractors, which has helped a lot of people in blue collar work who generally don't have the finances to be able to, look for a job and get into that space at a degree where they are looking at increasing their CVs and, and that type of thing. So this is a great platform for job matching services. And also, obviously, can't forget digital financing services. So the digital financing services is really looking at digitally enabled finance, and digitally enabled finance is filling the gap for the unbanked and moving people into the formal banking sectors, like obviously well-known M-Pesa, which is in Kenya and Tanzania. We're also seeing some developments in other countries like Nigeria, Ghana, and South Africa. And the digital platforms used, which we have seen a lot, is like Jumo, to drive data for credit assessments for vehicle finance. And then lastly, I'm just going to look at a little bit of international trade. I think as a continent, the conversation around, intercontinental trade has been ongoing for quite a lot of time. And like we've seen like acts like AGOA, but AGOA obviously is also based like with the contribution from the US. But how has Africa been able to, help themselves as a continent? I think the time for aid is gone. The time for Africa to help itself and the youth in particular is right now. And we have a responsibility and a duty to our continent. This year, on the 1st of January 2021, we had the African Continental Free Trade Area. And the African Free Continental Trade Area presents an opportunity to connect 1.3 billion people across 55 African countries and could lift 30 million people out of extreme poverty by 2035. So I think, the introduction of the African Continental Free Trade Area has come about at a perfect time. This will allow us, to increase trade. And also going back to the internet studies, one study found that 10% of internet use increases about 2% of bilateral trade. So like the digital economy is inextricably linked with us being able to, create a smaller Africa, and be able to trade amongst each other as African countries, and hopefully, ideally, maybe one day we'll find that, we'll have that universal currency, which a lot of African leaders have talked. For looking at the World Bank, it estimates that the African Continental Free Trade Area could deliver real income gains of about 450 billion. And these are prices which were established in 2014, but the 450 billion projection is looked at about 2035, which hopefully, will be realized. And like as the youth, we are going to be living through those times. So I think it's very great that we're having conversations like this, where we're having different people within, the African continent sharing ideas, because African continental free trade can only start in platforms like this. But yeah, from my side, I'm Azola Mzegandaba. I believe, lastly, the capital model for Africa, the general capital model, which is based on directors' fiduciary duties, being that profit maximization is the sole duty of a business, is long gone. It is absolutely not sustainable. We need to move to an economy which is creating shared value, which is not looking at just clean, traditional capitalism. We need to have an economy where there's an enlightened shareholder value approach, where entrepreneurs, and especially young entrepreneurs, are not only looking at making profit, but are looking at the environment, they're looking at the communities in which they serve. So creating shared value is the way forward, in my opinion, as I see Africa. But thank you so much for taking time to listen to what I've had to say. Thanks. Cheers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking out your time for this event. And thank you for letting our fellow viewers know about the digital economy of Africa and its influence in development. Our next speaker is Charles Omo Foman. He is a professional project manager and the founder of Noble Missions, an organization, tools, and opportunity to become active citizens. He enjoys designing and implementing projects that directly impacts marginalized groups. He's a transparency and accountability practitioner in Nigeria and a RISE Global Coaching Fellow. We welcome you, sir, and over to you.
All right, thank you for that introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm speaking from Nigeria, so it's still afternoon for us. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to share my screen and just run through my presentation. I think we have spent quite an amount of time today already. Okay, so as I said, my name is Charles Omo Foman, and I'm just going to look at some digital technologies, digital and future technologies and innovation and opportunities for the African youth. But majorly, I'm going to be showing you how especially African youths are already creating or leveraging on technology to make impact in the continent, and opportunities for other young people outside Africa to be able to work with African youths to make to leverage technology even more. So I represent Noble Missions. You already heard about us. So quickly, let's look at youth in Africa. I have a few statistics here and why Africa is an interesting and very strategic continent when it comes to the future of the world, so to speak. So according to Mo Ibrahim Foundation, by 2100, Africa should still have the youngest population worldwide with a median age of 35. So in 2020, African young population, under 35 was almost 1 billion people. And by 2100, African youth will be equivalent to twice of Europe's entire population, and almost 1/2 of the world's youth will be from Africa. So with this, just this few statistics, you could tell why Africa is very important to the world development, and why young people in Africa should be very concerned about their own development. Because having huge population could either be a blessing or a curse, all right? But for Africa, we hope that having huge young population will be a blessing, and we'll be able to utilize our resources, both human resources and non-human resources. So now, looking at development in general, looking at the SDGs as coined by the UN, what are the innovations and opportunities we already have in Africa that the world should learn from, or the world should look at? And as the previous speaker said, there are already innovations happening in Africa. Nigeria, for example, with a population of about 200 million people, you could tell that a lot is already happening. And that's why you see that Western investors are rushing to Africa to invest in these startups by these young people, because they know that these young people could deliver. All right. So I'm going to look at the SDGs, but of course, we don't have much time. So I'll only just talk about the first SDG, which is no poverty. All right. And if you check online, say, meaning of poverty from Wikipedia, you see that poverty is the state of not having enough material possession or income for a person's basic needs. So basically, everything we do is to make sure that people escape poverty, basically. So our innovations is to make life better, to improve standard of living for Africans. So as an African, when I'm thinking of innovation, thinking of ideas, I'm coming from that perspective. What I'm doing, will it help someone escape poverty? Will it improve someone's standard of living? Will it make life easier for someone? Because if life is easier for you, then it becomes even easy for you to escape poverty. And if you look at poverty in Africa, nearly, well, the statistics is not too good, but I'm glad that we are coming out and things are improving. Young people are waking up to take responsibility and to create innovations that will even lift more people out of poverty in spite of the government. All right. So according to development aid, about 490 million people live in extreme poverty in Africa. 14 out of 18 countries where poverty is rising are in Africa. 90% of the world's poorest might be living in Africa by 2030, if nothing is done now. In 2018, Nigeria overtook India as a country with the largest number of people living in extreme poverty. An estimated 87 million Nigerians were said to be living in extreme poverty. And that's about living on less than $1.90 a day. So these are opportunities. So I brought this up not to say, oh, African is poor. No, it's to show you that there are a lot of opportunities all right? Because if you have innovations that will lift people out of poverty, that innovation will sell fast, all right? People will appreciate, investors will appreciate those innovations. And we know that one of the best ways, according to the UN, one of the best ways to escape poverty is through quality education, all right? Through quality education, whether it's pre-primary, whether it's primary, whether it's secondary, whether it's tertiary, or whether it's just lifelong learning, all right? So even people that are already working, they need access to education, all right, to keep learning. And for you to even be able to innovate, you need to have good education, okay? And according to UNESCO, it says if all adults completed secondary education, 420 million could be lifted out of poverty. So you see that. So just secondary school education alone, over about 420 million people could be lifted out of poverty. All right. And that's why for my presentation today, which is quite short, I'm really looking at education in Africa. How are people innovating to improve access to education or improve access to quality education? All right. And if you look at the evolution of education technology in Africa in the 60s, 1960s, yeah, we're using radio and TV. People could program radio and TV. So either for teacher education or for education for young people, so you could sit down and listen, all right? And I want you to take note of what I'm talking about now, because if you look at even the TVs and radio, there are still opportunities to innovate. I remember during the pandemic, people started using radios and TV to educate children in Nigeria. And I'm sure that happened in other countries or in other African countries. So despite that, that's how education technology started in Africa, but you can still innovate within that space, all right? Then from there in the 90s, computer hardware, people started producing educational materials in CDs. From there, you have your normal computer. So that's how we have come this far, up to the time now that we now use tablets and mobile tools, which is just everywhere, all right? So if you check within this space, you can see innovate in this space. And I'll be showing you some innovations we have currently in Africa that I think even youth in India or in other countries could key into, or could collaborate with Africans to make more impact. Now, for example, I don't know if you're ahead of Enisa Education. Now, these guys, they have over 800,000 users, right? And they use mobile SMS. So what this means that you may not need to have internet access. So to get education to rural communities, remote communities where there's poor internet access, so you could use your normal phone, your non-internet smartphone to access education using SMS, okay? So these guys are in Kenya, Ghana, and in Ivory Coast. Then let's go to East Africa specifically, looking at QKit. Now, QKit is a handy box packed with various digital education tools. So what they do is when you subscribe, every child gets a box called the QKit. And in that box, you have already programmed education materials in a smartphone or tablet rather, okay? Now, you don't need internet access to access these boxes because they're already loaded with educational materials. But automatically, these tablets are updated using a general network that the tablet is connected to. All right. So the smart tablets automatically update itself when there are new materials, so they can remotely, using cloud technology, upload materials or update the smart tablets. Then in Tanzania, there's what we call Ubongo. I don't know if you're ahead of Ubongo before. Ubongo provides fun, localized, and multi-platform educational content for kids via accessible technologies like TV, radio, and mobile phone. So remember what I said before, that even though educational technology, evolution of edtech in Africa could be traced back to in the 60s using TVs and radios, but you can see innovate in that space, and that's exactly what Ubongo is doing. They're still innovating using TV and radio and mobile phones, of course, to reach people that ordinarily may not have access to this type of education. Then coming to Nigeria, where I'm from, we have several innovations, but I'll mention a few. Even in my organization, last year we created a platform called Give a Teach, where low community schools could be linked to working professionals to teach them the various skills that are not available in their schools. And low resource community schools don't have access to quality teachers, don't have access to the kind of subjects that you may have in other well-funded schools. So what we did was to connect these schools to professionals in town remotely, using the platform to be able to provide teaching, provide classes for these children in low resource community schools. And that worked well. It was a test program. We did it for a year and we stopped it, hoping that we'll come back based on the lessons we have learned, we'll come back to scale it up. But now in Nigeria, we have what we call tutoria, which I'm sure the technology is not far-fetched, so I'm sure it's in every country. Even in India, you have this type of technology. It's an online platform that helps students connect with qualified tutors in their area. All right. So even if you don't want to go to normal secondary school, the government or post-secondary schools, through their platform, you get your education and enroll for exams that children in other schools will enroll for. Then we have ScholarX. Scholar is a platform focused on educational financing, which helps students to access scholarships. So what Scholar does, or one of the things they do, is that they connect students with scholarships, students from rural communities, brilliant children who are unable to afford their education. So they connect them to scholarships so that they'll be able to gain access to education that the privileged gain access to. Then I think I'm going to stop in terms of innovations in Africa. I will stop at Andela, because every time I look at Andela's story, I'm inspired. Andela was co-founded by a Nigerian called Inoluwa Abuyeji some years ago. Now, basically what Andela does is they look for talent in Africa, retrain them, and connect them to companies in developed countries. All right. Currently, they have campuses in Nigeria, in Ghana, in Kenya, and some other African countries. And their growth, I would like to go back and check them out, Andela. So it's an tech company. They have grown so big, and in fact, they were one of the people that attracted Mark Zuckerberg, founder of Facebook, to Nigeria then. All right. So I try to show you some innovations that have happened in Nigeria or in Africa generally, that young people have come up with to try and lift people out of poverty. Looking at Andela, for example, there are several young people in Africa who are working for companies in the US, companies in the UK, right from their home country in Africa, through Andela. All right. So this is possible, but there's so much opportunities that we are not yet tapped into, so much opportunities. And there are some technologies that I believe, this is my personal opinion anyway, that we're not yet tapped into in Africa. And looking at Andela's story, how this young Nigerian was able to collaborate with other founders in other developed countries. Young people in India can collaborate with young people in Nigeria to tap into these technologies that have not yet been tapped into well in Africa, right? So for example, I looked at augmented reality. How much of it have been tapped into in Africa, even in terms of education? Not much. So if you look at the innovations I talked about, they were not really into augmented reality. Maybe few people use machine learning, artificial intelligence, but there's so much potential for augmented reality, AR as we may call it. What about 3D printing? It's true that, yeah, in Africa, we may not have access to so many things like in developed countries, but if there are innovations around 3D technology, those things can be printed. So for example, you want to train a medical doctor or a medical student who want to learn about maybe heart surgery, for example. The heart could be printed using 3D technology. all right? Instead of sourcing for re-heart, or maybe of corpses and all that, you could, through 3D technology, hearts could be printed, human parts could be printed for proper education. So these are opportunities for young Africans. These are opportunities for young Indians to collaborate with young Africans to scale innovations in Africa. What about robotics? There's so much that has not been done that can be done. And there's so much other technology that we could tap into, whether it's cloud technology, whether it's even mobile technology. Because mobile penetration in Africa, for example, is increasing. In Africa, in fact, as at January this year, access to mobile technology in Nigeria was over 100 million people. So you could imagine if we tap into that into mobile technology, how much impact we could make. Because someone who's never educated will have access to mobile phones, or have access to even more than one mobile phone. So I just said, let me run through this. There's not much time. I thought I would come on earlier, but I wasn't called on. So I really have other engagements. I said, let me just run through this, and hopefully we'll have opportunities to engage more, to talk about innovations in Africa, beyond even SDG 1, beyond poverty, no poverty, beyond quality education. There's so many other areas in agriculture. We know that Africa has vast mass of land for agriculture. And most of our agriculture, most of our farming is still very manual. So that means there's so much opportunity in the area, so much things we could do, innovate to make farming easier. Even encourage everyone to go into farming. Home gardening from your home. How can you farm? What technology can you use to farm even from your home without owning large space of land and all that? So I won't be able to go through my slide. I will stop here. And if you have any questions, comments, please feel free to go ahead. And before I go, I'd like to say thank you to the organizers for bringing me on board. I hope we'll have more opportunity to talk more about this. Have more time to dwell more on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's wait for like 5 seconds if anybody has any questions. Okay, so if you don't have any questions, thank you very much, sir. That was very enlightening about the different state-of-the-art technologies that have been continually implemented for the educational schemes in Africa for its betterment and development. It was very nice and insightful to hear. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kanaga Saravanan, a member of YUCI and a host of this segment. It is rightly said that you shouldn't dream of your film, you should make it. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce our next speaker for this evening. Internationally acclaimed Dr. Sandeep Marwa is an incredible name in the world of films. With the 7 world records in his pocket, he stands distinct as the founder of the Noida Film City and the creator of the Marwa Studios. He is the designer behind the Academy of Film and Television, which is one of the 10 best film schools in the world. As the producer of the largest number of short films in the world, he has been associated with innumerable feature films, television programs, and amateur training films. Felicitated with over 700 national, international awards for his contribution to the world of cinema, he has trained over 19,000 media students from over 145 different countries. He was also honored as the Global Culture Minister at the United Arab Emirates for World Peace. He heads over 100 national, international media and social organizations besides being the president of the International Chamber of Media and Entertainment. At present, he is the Chancellor of the AAFT University of Media and Arts and has been appointed as the Chief Scout for India. He has received accolades from overseas, including the honor bestowed by the House of Commons in the British Parliament in London. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over the screen to Dr. Sandeep Marwa. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kanga. I'm so happy to be here. Let me extend my heartiest thanks to the organizers for calling me here and giving me this beautiful opportunity to talk to the most intelligent people from all over the world. I'm so happy to be here. Let me start with 2 lines I'm recollecting. कि सभी दिशाओं से शुभ सुंदर भाव विचार भरे नित अंतर, पुण्य धरा बन जाए स्वर्ग ये, मेरे यत्नों से करुणा कर. Let me explain to you in this English, whether it is north, south, east or west, whether you're in India or abroad, whether you are on the top of the hill or you're standing at a seashore, whether you are in a lush green garden and looking at some colorful flowers, or maybe looking at the most beautiful woman on earth. But the fact is, there are two things which are much more beautiful than what you can see with your naked eyes. And these two things are your thinking and your feelings. And the best part is that both the things are right within you. You don't even need eyes for any action. My dear friends, on this very auspicious day, let's pray. Hey Lord, give me good thinking, give me good feelings so that I can do good deeds. And through my good karmas, I would love to convert this earth into heaven. That's what I believe. I'm sure you will also believe in the same. Well, my dear friends, I have a lot to do with Africa. Let me just speak out this small para on this, that I have realized much earlier that Africa is now the fastest growing economy. It is the biggest, going to be one of the biggest markets of the world, and all the 50 countries of Africa, they will do wonders and they'll show to the world that they are extraordinary, different from the rest of the world. Not very long ago, we created International Chamber of Media and Entertainment Industry. And during the same time, I also created 50 international committees related to each and every country of Africa. I'm very happy that in a span of all these 7 years, I've been able to tap all these countries slowly and gradually. And I'm happy that the government of a few of the countries out of these 50, including Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia, Senegal, Ghana, Sudan, Nigeria, Gabon, Gambia, South Africa, Lesotho, Botswana, Comoros, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Tanzania. We have already signed MOU and we have started working together on different projects all together, which are related to films, television, media, art, culture, fashion, education, skill development, environment, and so on. And I'm happy that ICMEI, in association with AAFT University, to start with, we have already announced 50 scholarships to all these countries, one for one country, for someone to fly from his country to New Delhi to learn cinema at Marwa Studios at Asian Academy of Film and Television, including boarding and lodging, which is also free to the student. These are short-term courses. We have specially devised rigorous courses so that someone who's here for 3 months can do wonders, can learn well, and he can achieve his targets when he's leaving India back to his country, and he can definitely be able to make films. Second, very important thing, what we did is we created 50 joint ventures, and we have planned, we have done some, we have completed some small for short films along with the filmmakers of all these 50 countries of Africa. And I'm happy that they are the people who get associated with these short films, they are emerging bigger, better, and smarter filmmakers time to come. Well, we have allotted a slot luckily I have 2 radio stations, and we've gone out of way to allot the slot to each and every country possible. I mean, if you have programs, if you want to appear on radio station, and then we have another television station, which is an online television station, mstv.co.in. Our radio is Radio Noida.fm, Radio Raipur.fm. Both the radios are after FM. They're also the world radios. The television is also can be seen all over the world. And we are inviting people from Africa to come forward and express themselves on radio, on television. If you have programs ready, you can come and even deliver those programs. And we would love to broadcast these programs to the whole world, to show to the world that India has a wonderful relation with Africa. I'm happy that we are now open to all these countries. Anyone coming into India, we have a ready platform in all the 14 colleges of the university, whether it's a cinema, journalism, graphics, animation, hospitality, tourism, photography, any kind of a business, law, and so on. and anyone can come and deliver lectures, can interact, can be a part of workshops, seminars, and so on. Because I know that these kind of platforms, they bring people together, and it helps in developing and promoting relation between these two countries, India and whosoever is there from whichever country. I'm lucky enough that I have been to Senegal, I've been to Nigeria, I've been to Egypt as a state guest, and I love these countries. People are fantastic. They are very emotional, just like India, and people are so welcoming. I'm lucky that I am chairing Indo-African Students Association, where there are more than 2,000 African boys and girls all over India. And every year we have a massive kind of a get together at my studios. And I'm happy that they are all very good friends to me. I'm also a patron to Actors Guild of Nigeria, probably the second designation, because the chief patron is the president himself of Nigeria, and I'm the international patron of this organization, which is the most famous film organization in Nigeria. I was lucky enough to start a project. When I went to Lagos, I met people there. I went to Kano, I went to Abuja, and all the three important places. I was amazed to see that the vice chancellor of the Lagos University has been my student. The deputy vice chancellor of there's another the national Nigerian Film School, and so on. I mean, I was amazed to see a lot of students who have passed out from Asian Academy of Film and Television. They were there working rigorously, and not only working, some of them have reached to some of the highest position you can think of. Only last week, I'm happy that I was nominated as an advisor to another very powerful organization, which is UAE and Africa, on UAE and Africa relation. And now I'm going to be there also. So there are a large number of organizations which are related to Africa. I'm lucky, I'm supporting them, I'm helping them, I'm learning from them too. At the end of the day, what I have realized, since probably I may be one of the last speakers today, as I've been told, I can only say that I've been hearing to some of the wonderful speakers, not only that they have expressed themselves so well, the contents were marvelous, up to the mark, and absolutely needed what exactly they have mentioned. The one point which I found, which has been coming quite often, is all about education. It's all about the self-sufficient, kind of a thing. And I'm very happy that Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has given us one beautiful word, which is called Atmanirbhar. It's a Hindi word, but which means that self-reliant, self-sufficient. That's what exactly it means. But then I have created a new definition for all of you today for this one wonderful word, which has been repeatedly coming in every government office, with every school, colleges, with every youth possible of this country. And I need not to say again and again that India has the largest number of youth. 65% of the Indian population is youth. And this is one country which can do wonders in the coming years too. Well, if I say Atmanirbhar, I have categorized when I spell this very important word, it starts with A, and A stands for ambition. It's very important for youth to have a very high ambitions. You start thinking big, dream big. That's what is needed, my dear friends. Think big, because if you're going to think big, you're going to be a big person. That much I know that. And my father taught me that if you can think high, you can reach high. So I think if you are not so far dreaming, it's a high time for all of you to start dreaming, but dreaming big. Dreams are not the one which comes in your sleep. Dreams are the one which just don't let you sleep. That should be the quality of the dreams, my dear friends. And this is how is the beginning of a biggest change ever you can see, either in India or in African countries. because we resemble a lot. We are both very emotional people, and there's a lot of things which are common between the developing countries of Africa and a little developed country like India. The T, the next letter is T, and T stands for being tough. It's very important today. You have to develop that kind of a quality where you can face all sort of unforeseen circumstances. Life is not bed of roses. One should remember that. And you have to make yourself physically as well as mentally absolutely ready for something which you have not even expected, because that's going to make you a tough. T for tough, but T also stands for technology. Very important for all of us to get into technology. People who are still thinking that I'm going to be a part of the primitive world, sorry, things have changed, and especially this pandemic of 18 months has brought large changes into this whole world. Things have changed. We're talking about blockchain, we're talking about cryptocurrency, we're talking about a currency-less world. You'll be surprised that this whole world is going to be currency-less. There'll be no printed notes in your hand in the next 5 to 7 years. You'll be surprised. And human mind and humankind has a tendency to store money, wealth. And trust me, another 5 or 7 years, give me 5 or 7 years, you will be moving to the whole world without even carrying a one rupee or a one note of your currency. This is what is happening. So you have to be absolutely techno man. You must relate yourself what is happening in this world. What are the different kinds of discoveries and inventions which are going on in different parts of the world, because that's what is needed back at your own home. And you have to think that way, that all these techniques, all these methods, which are actually creating this world, a very fine world, a paperless world, must be brought back to your own country. Next letter stands for Atma, M. M stands for motivational. Very important. You have to create a power within your own self to be motivated. Your self-motivation is the ultimate petrol to your moving car, life car. Remember that. So develop that kind of a motivation that I am the best, I can do it, I must do it, and I have to do it. These are the things which you have to bring back to your mind with positive thinking. And trust me, you are bound to be successful, and you have a long way to go, my dear friends. You have to prove to the world that you can do it. That is what is needed. The next letter of Atma is again A, and this time A stands for attitude. Higher you go, the lower the ego. You don't have to be egoistic. You don't have to be proud of what all you're doing, but develop a sense of politeness, compassion, love for kids, respect for elders. That is what is needed today. Your attitude has to be good. My father taught me that when you climb the stairs of hell, it's a law of nature. You bend automatically. And if you're not going to bend, you're going to fall down on the hill. So remember, my dear friends, so develop a very polite, a very nice attitude towards each other, whether you belong to A country or B country. You have to leave a wonderful impression that in people of my country, one single person can create a wonderful perception for his country that, yes, wow, I met this guy from ABC country, and what a people they are. That's only possible when you have a wonderful attitude, not only towards life, but towards people also. N, Atma, Na, N stands for nationalism. Very important. You have to show to the world that you love your country. I'm not asking you to fight. I'm not asking you to get into discussions. But yes, your actions, your words, your body language, your emotions, they must project that you are a nationalist. I love my country. That should be very comfortably visible from your day-to-day actions. If not, then you have to inculcate that kind of a behavior, setup, attitude, so that people, when you're meeting, especially, I mean, like in a webinars like this, when we all are from different parts of the world, it's very important that we must show that we are patriotic people, nationalists we are. I stands for information. It's an age of ICE, ICE, information, communication, and entertainment. And the more information you're going to gather, the more intelligent you're going to be. The more intelligent you're going to be, the more innovative you're going to be. And if you're innovative, that means you are a winner, because that's what is needed today in the world. If you are innovative, you have won the game. You are leader. People will look at you. They will follow you. This is what is needed. And everything starts with reading, writing, understanding, attending workshops, seminar, symposium, interaction programs, and get into it. I'm so happy that all of you are here right now, and very patiently, thank God, you're listening to me. Thank you for that too. Well, the next Atma Nir R stands for research. Very important. Gone are the days when you are trying to go for if and but. Gone are the days when you're spending large number of hours only by experimenting without understanding the subject. Now, thank God, we have internet and everything, every book. I mean, when I think about it, in my early days, we used to hunt from library to library, from books to books, to gather information, to learn about the subject, to make some better notes, to have more knowledge on one particular subject. My God, what a convenience days, what a convenient days, and how much convenience you have today, my dear friends, to this young youth of this world. After so many years, you just have to press a button and the whole information is at your fingertip. But still, I find that people are reluctant even to learn more. It's a high time for you to learn more, to read more, and grasp best of the knowledge possible available on the net, best of the books from all over the world, best of the writers from all over the world. You can do wonders, my dear friends. You can do wonders, trust me. I mean, because all that preliminary information, what you require to do wonders, to do a magic, to invent or discover something new is available. You just have to press a button and start reading and grasping that knowledge. Go ahead. Research is going to be a very, very important part of every part of education. Remember that. And then obviously B comes for believe. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your institutions. You have to believe in your employer, your establishments, your government, people who are superior and senior to you, because the whole world is losing trust in each other. A brother and brother, they don't believe in each other. They don't believe their family. I don't know what has happened to the whole world. Yes, come back to the originality, come back to the roots, and you'll see that people are not that bad the way we have started thinking about it. So develop that believe in humanity, believe in your teachers, believe in your parents, and see the charity begins at home. People will start trusting each other more, and we will be able to work much faster than what exactly we are doing today. H stands for humanity, which is another very important word for all of us, because I have never believed in different religion. I have only believed that if there is any religion on this earth, that is humanity. If you can serve human beings, that is the best religion on this earth. And I know that many of you must be thinking that way, but then we have to actually get into the execution of this kind of a thing, where we can actually show to the people that yes, without keeping in mind the religions which are dividing the society and the countries and the people on this earth, we have to bring back humanity. And see, you will feel so happy. One small little act, good act today will give you a sense of achievement, probably more than thousands of currency notes you are earning probably in your own businesses. Yes, humanity is the word which is required today. And the next letter comes in A, Atma Nirbhar. A stands for being aggressive. You have to be aggressive. Gone are the days when you are pretending and you are acting and you're lying down on your sofa, on a couch, and ordering. I said, no, this time has come when you have to be aggressive. If you have an idea, start working on it. If you have a consortium, a group of people, start working on it. If you have created a company, start working on it. I don't know why windows are closed, because a very rare I'm finding windows are closed, especially when you have people from different parts of the world. Probably I would love to see you all, my dear friends, if it's not very inconvenient to you. Well, thank you very much. I wish all of you all the best, a lot of success, and these kind of youth summits we must do on a regular basis. And I think these kind of summits will bring all of us close to each other. And whatever little I can do for this particular organization, I am absolutely ready to help you, to assist you, and to work with you. Thank you very much. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to be here and enlighten us on many of your projects that extend to the African youth. And you also spoke about our attitudes towards opportunities that arise in front of us. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Radhika Ajit, and I'm a member of YUCI. Artificial intelligence is one of the most important tools in the 21st century. Convinced by this, our speaker is using this to bring major improvements in Africa. With this vision in mind, we welcome our next speaker, Mr. Seth Fariz. He is a computer engineer and a social entrepreneur. After a few months of accounting studies at the Pierre Mendès University in Grenoble, he decided to turn definitively to IT and entrepreneurship. Seth Fariz is the co-founder of the Adiaba, that is a company specialized in the design of connected poultry egg incubators. Since 2018, he's been collaborating with the Pan-African Data Force Network, and the objective of which is to federate an African ecosystem of data issues. Not only this, he has even developed an app called as SysGo, which allows the creation of a parallel economy based on virtual currency to help the most disadvantaged access an inclusive economy. We'd like to welcome you, sir, and the stage is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be able to share some information on the future of technologies and innovation, as well as the opportunities for the African youth. Digital technology has increasingly tangible social and economical impact, and digital professions are being created at a considerable rate, allowing the development of digital economy. And there will be tens of millions of jobs for people with advanced digital skills in the coming years in Africa, because these skills are more and more being demanded. With some economies predicting a talent gap for workers with advanced digital skills, and others ranking ICT specialists among the fastest growing roles. While young people are often seen as digital natives, the majority of them do not actually have the digital skills to fill the vacancies. This means that although we have a growing need for those kinds of skills in our countries in Africa, few people are actually involved in these sectors. So we need the youth to actually get more involved in the digital sector in Africa. It is growing, but not at a sufficient rate that will allow a consistent change in terms of impact in the digital world. So governments, social partners, the private sector, academia, civil society, and other key stakeholders must ensure that young people are equipped with the digital skills necessary to take advantage of employment and entrepreneurship opportunities to build and an inclusive digital economy and society. So equipping young people with digital skills, in particular, advanced skills, and providing them with entrepreneurial opportunities will contribute to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, number 8, which is to achieve decent work and growth for in economic inclusion. In 2035, we will have the biggest workforce in the world, in Africa. And this potential has to be used properly. I believe that when we speak about technology in Africa, we most of the time only mention the technologies like artificial intelligence or blockchain, many other things. But the most important thing that we have to do is to also pinpoint the major problems that we face in Africa in order to use those technologies to address them. Some of the sectors that are really growing in Africa or that have the most potential are agriculture and e-commerce. So I will talk about a few technologies like artificial intelligence and blockchain, and see how we can properly use these technologies to foster development in our continent. First of all, artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that uses mathematical concepts to find a way to make machines and computers autonomous in a way that they can plan ahead. They can help us really do things that only humans could do in the past. So this is a really big tool that we can use in our companies, in our startups. So some technologies like drones, using drones in agriculture can help farmers reduce losses in their crops. And also it can allow them to do planning, so they can plan ahead and know how much they can be able to harvest at the end of the season. But while dealing with artificial intelligence, there are many problems that people usually face. It's the ethics of artificial intelligence. When the media talks about artificial intelligence, they usually speak about robots that will take jobs and all these things. But this is a Western view on the issue. What I believe we can do with AI is to see it as a tool that can help us bridge the gap between the fact that in Africa, we don't have enough resources in terms of financial resources. So using these technologies can help us leapfrog and go through some steps that were not possible in the past. So we can have automated ways of managing and optimizing the yield in farms, and also create new ways of interactions. I will mention financial technologies and how artificial intelligence and also harnessing data can help in this sector. So I have contributed to the development of Sisway, which is a platform that allows for financial inclusion in Africa, and it allows the most it allows people who do not have access to financial institutions to be able to create a parallel economy that allows them to exchange goods in their own terms without having to deal with the real financial world. the international financial system. And this is powerful because rural areas where there's not a lot of financial inclusion, this technology can be used to allow them to have a secure way of transferring value. And because when in the society you have, for instance, people who have products to sell, or they have goods that they have to sell, we need to have a medium that serves as a trust for the people who are making transactions. So Sysway is serving that role, and this is enabled by the use of artificial intelligence that directly helps ensure that the security level of such a platform is really high. Some domains where you can use artificial intelligence are not limited to agriculture only, but you can also use it in education, public services, tourism, distribution, construction. This is a technology that can really be harnessed in many areas and many disciplines. You can use it for optimizing. If you have a retail company, artificial intelligence can be used to optimize the delivery times. And in healthcare, for example, there are many applications. It can be used to not only manage the way people schedule their appointments, but this is just a basic thing. But more deeply, it can be used to easily diagnose some potential illnesses that could not be identified early enough. And if we dig even deeper, we can understand that AI can be used to diagnose some diseases that are in a very early stage of development. So AI is really a technology that we as Africans have to invest a lot in terms of research, and also in terms of the ethics, because it is a very powerful tool, and with every powerful tool comes some challenges in this area. So this is just one aspect of all the technologies that we have at our disposal. I will also speak about blockchain, which many people, when they hear about blockchain, they think about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And I can say that these are opportunities as well, where you can invest, but more practically, you can use the blockchain technology to do product tracking in agriculture, because it is a technology that is also based on cryptography, and it helps you have a really secure and reliable way of storing information. And this allows to, this really allows, sorry. This really allows to be, this allows you to track some information. For instance, if you have a business in agriculture, blockchain can help you do quality insurance, because for every product that goes out of your warehouse, you can know the quality. You can store this information. You can store the time, the transit time, the time that it takes to get to the consumers. And this also takes in account the supply chain. And all these information can be stored securely and be a sort of trust for the consumers, so that they can know that what they are consuming is actually of a high quality. And with blockchain, you can also use smart contracts when you want to deal with some suppliers and ensure that you don't need a third party to validate your transaction. You can do the two of these transactions directly. And so this is how you can use blockchain and AI, artificial intelligence, in your businesses. So the way I use it in Adiaba is to, I'm talking about machine learning. This is more of a way to optimize the use of electricity in the machines. So Adiaba is a connected egg incubator that allows the producers to increase their yield. And in order to optimize the electricity consumption of the machine, we use machine learning to optimize the consumption of electricity. And this reduces, this actually increases the production, because we have less eggs that are lost. Because the key factors that intervene in poultry production while the eggs are being laid are the temperature and the concentration in CO2. So those two informations are monitored more or less by the intelligence system that we have developed. So this is how you can basically use the emerging technologies in your companies. And also, one thing that I can tell the youth is that if you can't start a business, you can also learn these technologies and help other entrepreneurs who are in your community to build really sustainable and scalable companies. So thank you. This is the information that I wanted to share with you. And I thank also the team and everyone who spoke today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us about the importance of artificial intelligence. Predicting future isn't magic, it's artificial intelligence, and it is a tool to re-engineer human mind. And thank you for also telling us how it helps in business. It's our pleasure to have you, sir. And the next speaker in line is Mr. Mabiza Badanaro. Mathematician and economist by training, Mabiza Badanaro is a senior business developer at Tarzan Express. He's in charge of the commercial development of Togolese e-commerce platform, which aims to allow anyone on the African continent to easily buy anything, no matter the item, from anywhere, no matter the location of the item, at a lower cost. Given his strategic vision, Mabiza is in charge of identifying and deploying new growth levers for Tarzan Express. He provides solutions to develop revenue directly, new customers, services, products, or indirectly by marketing, communication, partnerships. In conjunction with the sales, marketing, financial, and legal teams, he coordinates ideas and teams to create new activities within the startup. I take immense pleasure inviting you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you very much for this introduction. It's a pleasure for me to take part to the summit of African Young. I'll start my talk by sharing with you an presentation on African population development. Please, are you seeing my screen? Okay.
Yes, we are seeing your screen.
Okay, thank you. For now, African population represent around 17% of the world population. This number will increase by the 15 years, and this will reach in 2017. Excuse me. And this number will reach by 50 years above the curve of the world population. This situation will reveal so many problems we have in Africa. It's not the population growth who create the problem, but he just reveal the problem who is in Africa from so far. As we can see on this map, the main population growing will take place in cities. We have in Africa some big cities like we are seeing on this map. Faced to this situation, the solution our leader are taking to took in place to resolve the problem the population increasing are revealing is to create how we call smart city. Now we have a lot of smart city projects who are developed in many cities in Africa, and these different smart cities rival by these different characteristics. We will have some smart city who will develop by a private structure. We have other who will develop by government and public structure. We don't have any time to see any smart city project in detail. We will see it in global, and I come back to the end to give a detailed speech on this. For example, we have the project of Egypt in region who have started from 3 years, but it's not ended. We have so many other like Jamnyamdo in Senegal. And more other one in other city in Africa, Tatu City in Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa again, Rwanda, Angola, etc., etc. The main problem of these smart city projects is that when the projects are thinking by the leader, a smart city project are thinking like an infrastructure, an physical infrastructure. They don't think about the technological at the platform infrastructure of the city. So we have some building somewhere who are planned and seeking to be constructed, but it is just face the side of physical problem. It's just on physical infrastructure or the more of lot of problem we have in Africa. We are revealed by the population growth will not resolved by physical infrastructure. The real solution for a lot of them will come of technological infrastructure who is not taken inside in the view in the planification of our leader. For us, the young people, the technological democratization, the digital transformation, and the progressive democratization of the innovation are an unique opportunity for us, for our generation, to intend to take in our participation in the issues in the future of our continent. Donc, a lot of initiatives are taking place in distance to contribute to create some technical infrastructure who will contribute to solve a problem we are faced due to the population growing. Me, I'm from Togo, a small country in West Africa, located between Benin and Ghana, on the edge of Atlantic Ocean. At myself, I have a presence. I'm business developer for Thousand Express, which young startup which aim to allow people on the continent to shop all over the world and buy whatever they want for less. The main innovation that we bring is the mean of payment because we allow unbanked people and even who don't have a simple mobile money account to have a satisfactory and e-commerce experience. We started our activity a little over 6 months ago, and today we have already successfully placed more than 2,000 orders. There are many initiatives like ours in our country, in our sub-regions. This new dynamism favored in recent years by several factors is an attempt by young Africans to position themselves on the issues, on the future, on the what will be the continent in some few years. We don't want to be a spectator of what our continent are going to be. We want to do an actor to make place to build what we want for our continent. This initiative faces many problems at different levels. Problems of financing, technical problems, etc. The situation of African population, and particularly young population who wants to make things different from what their older have made the thing is an occasion to collaborate with young from other parts in the world, like Indian young, to build something internet, something who can be able to face really the main problem we are facing in our continent. We are facing due to the population growth. It is the main thing I want to share with you. I don't want to share a situation of sadness, but share with you on dynamism, on motivation, something positive who reveal that the African are not planning of they are not planning of our situation, but we make things to contribute that the situation we don't want, don't place that situation can change and become something in who we are proud to live, and we are proud to share it with other part of the world. My talk was short. I want it, I say consistently, to share with you the essential thing I have. Thank you. If you have some question or if some part of the presentation I'll be too fast, I can explain it in detail. Thank you.
Thank you for your insightful speech, sir. Moving on to our next speaker. What comes first to mind regarding smart cities? Cities with beautiful infrastructure and well-designed urban planning. Since we're talking about smart cities and urban planning, I would like to introduce to you the mastermind and a prolific speaker, Sir Julian Carbonell. Before diving into the plethora of knowledgeable speech, I want to give a gist about our speaker. Sir Julian Carbon belongs to the magnificent city of France. He did his graduation in psychology and later started independent work in real estate. He was always fascinated by the internet to design urban projects. In order to strengthen its projects he was involved in, he wanted to make use of his talent in corporate as well as non-profit. He joined in an academic research laboratory to strengthen his field observations with a scientific establishment and data analysis. He even worked in building predictive models in Python, including machine learning and computer simulations. He is the author of the well-known book, Democracy Studio. Currently, he is traveling as a digital nomad in order to confront theories related to new cases, develop an international network, and to challenge him with new experiences. With this, we welcome our speaker, Sir Julian Corbin. Welcome, sir.
Hi, thanks for having me. So yeah, as you said, I'm an urban developer and scientist, and I've been specializing myself those last years in citizen engagement in smart city. And I would like to say that I really appreciate the work that Mabis has done in Africa, these repertories of smart cities. It has been really insightful for me as well. Otherwise, well, it will be hard to find things to say that has not been told yet, because we've been speaking about a lot of very interesting things in this panel. I really want to add something. Maybe is that it appears to me very important for the young people to understand that they have to do things with people. That's the most important thing to do. Of course, having a diploma, graduation, education, these are very fundamentals. But otherwise, I think that I've been learning a lot of things in my life in the informal way. It means that, yeah, outside of the usual institutions, you will learn things by doing things with people, by meeting people. So this is the way of being an entrepreneur. It means like you want to do something or you find something that you are curious about and you just go and you meet people on the way and you discuss and you create groups and you start working in group of people. And this is how you create yourself an experience. This is how you create a learning hub or a big ecosystem of entrepreneurs that will be fruitful for you and that will also benefit all the other persons. Because as you know, like the sum is more than the addition of its parties. So I mean, individually, we all have skills and knowledge or experience. But when you put all that individual things in a group of people, it creates something that is bigger than the sum of the all of us. And so this is a bit the kind of philosophy that we can find in the open source and open data movement. So I think that there is a crucial need for creating data repositories that will be open to anyone. This is something wonderful that the internet is offering us, that we are all connected everywhere in the world, all together, and we are all using the same kind of computer and background technologies. So when we go into this World Wide Web, we can all enjoy the experience of having all this information available. And there are still some places in the world where it's harder to find some information of good quality or information to start to build something with. So I would say that first, it's very important that we start creating open data repositories. And then also, like when you build some model, for example, the models that I built for my Democracy Studio analysis, it's all available on my GitHub. And so everyone is I mean, very welcome to use it. And usually, yeah, this is how it goes when you start coding. For example, you usually use the code of other people, and then this is how you learn to do it. And then most of the time when you received something, you want to give back. And so you'll also publish your analysis or your models, even if it's not very tech, even if it's only at the beginning, like observation with bare eyes. But you will publish one article in the blog content on the topic that appears important to you, and that then someone else will be able to enjoy it, to read it, and to learn from you. So this is something very important. And create kinds of communities of like-minded people that want to move forward together. And I think the best way to do it is to do it by yourself. So you don't need much, to be honest. Especially you don't need governments, you don't need I mean, educators or leaders. All these things are very important to build an infrastructure and to inspire yourself, your work. But I mean, if you just want to start doing things with your friends or people in your city, in your neighborhood, the only thing you need is to organize an event or a workshop. And so a meetup, and you just, yeah, it can be word to mouth, it can be invitation by internet. But so this is how it starts, and this is how you start to learn things and to do things with your people. So yeah, in terms, we've been speaking a bit of smart cities. I think this is what makes a smart city. So a city smart because it's not only about technology. Of course, the data is needed if you want to make better working functioning cities with less impact on the environment. So all these things, data is crucial. It helps you to understand what is the reality behind the phenomena you are observing. So data is science, science is knowledge. We need it. But what makes a city smart is especially the fact that it engages its people. So it means the people are creating the cities by themselves. And a city that will answer the real needs of its population and that will give some autonomy for the people to make decisions by themselves, in between themselves. And so the thing is, usually architects or let's say planners, they are at an upper scale of understanding of the phenomena, and they worked with models, so they have learned how to make things in a certain way. And what is a real value that you have in your hands and in your mind is that if you live in a specific city, in a specific neighborhood, you know your life, you know the life that you are experiencing. So it gives you knowledge from the field. And this field knowledge is something that is definitely what's going to help architects or planners or governments to make better achievements. So all of these big guys, institutions, they need you to engage, to share what you experience on the field. And so then you will shape your own future for you and for your people. So yeah, what is true for a city is, for innovation and entrepreneurship is true for city too. I think that what makes an engaged population is when you are sure that most of the inhabitants are able to easily get in touch with each others, to organize events freely. The freedom of speech is also something very important. This is what makes difference with the most advanced ecosystem or startup hubs. Or yeah, it's when the people can really criticize what happens around them or what they don't like in the service that are provided to them. This is important to be critical too, because critical thinking is a step to make better services, to develop better companies, entrepreneurs. So yeah, this freedom of speech is something important. We need to create cities where the people feel that they can freely say their opinion about the things. And yeah, otherwise, I think it's more or less what I wanted to say. Is there anything that I can add? I have some. So I think it's more or less all what I wanted to say. I will be glad to tell you more. At any moment, you can contact me from internet. This is the wonderful part of this global movement. Basically, I'm French, but at the moment, I'm living in USA for the summer because I'm traveling, so I'm changing my cities every 3 months. And it is amazing how much you can meet people, how much you can do things with a lot of different persons. It gives you a good human knowledge to meet all these people with different backgrounds. And this is wonderful. I mean, all this finally a small place, and what we can experience nowadays is really, let's say, an unprecedented opportunity. I really enjoy having you guys from all of these different countries, cultures, whatever. And so we can get in touch easily one with each other and start doing things together. So yeah, I would say that we are changing the world at the moment. The world is constantly changing, but we are part of the change that's happening now. Yeah, the new generation is needed to keep going. So thank you very much.
Merci, Monsieur, for giving us a wonderful insight about how the world has been connected through innovation and technology and how fastly it's growing. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
For our next speaker of this evening, he is a renowned member of the Engineering Institution of Zambia. He's also a member of Society for Automation, Instrumentation, Mechatronics and Control, IEEE, and a Swedish Engineers Association. Our speaker is also a dynamic researcher at the Luleå University of Technology in Sweden. Without further ado, I would like to hand over the screen to him. Over to you, Mr. Enoch Malinga.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are getting me from. My name is Enoch Murenga. I'm basically based in Zambia, and I also alternate with being in Sweden. I'll give a talk basically which is sync education, African business, and entrepreneurship. Having been introduced, basically, I'm a former lecturer at the School of Engineering, which is the Copperbelt University, the second largest university in Zambia. Since I left, I've continued to help with the final year projects, which is basically to foster research in power quality, renewable energy, that is solar and wind. When I left CBU in 2017, the following year, I founded a company which is North Voltage Engineering. The focus basically is to help engineering students with the development. And then going backwards, I've also been a scholar of the Swedish Institute scholarship. which is a prestigious scholarship that encourage the growth of education with a view to developing our developing countries. Since 2010, after 2 years of my development in industry, have been mentoring engineering professionals, that is starting with those who do trade tests, technicians, technologists, including engineers. At the moment, I'm a researcher at Rural University of Technology in Sweden, where I focus mainly in renewable energy integration and power quality. So on the left, basically is a picture of a grass-thatched house, which is mostly characteristic of most African countries. But then we are moving towards the development, which is to move away from the problems that are posed with the underdevelopment that has hit Africa. So some of the challenges and problems that Africa face are basically, one of them is the energy deficit. Earlier on, one of the speakers from one African country in West Africa had mentioned power had been disrupted. That is one of the problems that Africa faces today. But again, to bridge the gap and eradicate the deficit of energy, there is education that is there. So when we talk of education, it comes in two folds. The first part is you get the formal education that is needed for you to acquire knowledge that you can apply in areas of interest. The second type of education, which is very critical to development, is the skills set. Basically, when one graduates from college, when one graduates from university, they need to get the hands-on experience. In the mining sector, where I worked for some years, we called that the graduate development program. So when I was a lecturer at CBU, I identified this problem because you find that most of the companies, most of the tech would require graduates with the formal qualification to have skill sets that are needed for them to get formal employment. So these two challenges basically are what led to the foundation of North Voltage Engineering. One of it is to collaborate with the university to supervise final year projects. Then second, when the graduates from the colleges and the universities, then they need to get the skill set. And the skill set of interest to me, and probably to some of the challenges that Africa and Zambia faces today with regards to energy, entails that we need to implement what we have. Africa has got a potential for solar energy. It has also a potential for wind energy. But then what is missing is the right skill set that is there to bring about innovation, to bring about solutions that can bring Africa from where it is to the next stage. Because most of the industries that will need to be implemented in Africa, the manufacturing industry, agriculture, farming, demands energy, they need energy. And then from time immemorial, especially for Zambia, we've mostly depended on hydro, which when the rainfall patterns are bad, then it has got an impact on how much is generated by the stations. So these two problems basically are one of them that encouraged me to found the company. So the solution, or simple solution, which I founded in 2018, which I still support up to date, Basically, one of them is to mentor students with the interest in power quality, the interest in solar energy, the interest with wind energy. When you look at the cycle of all these technologies, they have got the ability to bring about new businesses, and they have got the ability to bring about ownership from the graduates, instead of them waiting for jobs, white collar jobs, or waiting for engineer positions. With the right formal knowledge and the right skill set, then we can have these graduates come up with innovations in these fields that can bring about startups in wind energy, startup in solar energy. And one of the scores of the company is that it has been able to supervise, mentor, and provide skills to some of the graduates who are now working in other companies, and some have set up their own renewable companies, which are contributing to the development of Zambia. And also, in addition to that, I continue to help with the supervision of projects which are more, which have got interest in the renewable energy. One example is that we've actually come up with a proposal to start building and testing of small wind turbines that can be used in agriculture. So once we build the prototype and these are able to provide the much needed energy for farmers and small scale businesses, then we expect some businesses in this sector can grow up in the next 2 to 5 years. So after establishing the North Voltage Engineering, which by now is an operation company, there are other companies that have sprung up, which are also within the renewable energy. Some have combined other sectors. So I continue to support the upcoming entrepreneurs in solar energy with providing the new skill set, the new knowledge. As a researcher based in the Scandinavia, one thing that has basically motivated me is that Sweden has got normally experienced snow in most parts of the year, and then the other parts we've got spring, autumn. But the generation of energy from solar actually outweighs what is in Zambia. So that has motivated me to push so much, especially the upcoming graduates, those who leave universities, and also to some extent, some that are already in the field, to take up this challenge. Because in Zambia, on average, we've got about 4 to 5 hours of sunlight. And of course, other days, which are like, if we take up August, September, October, we've got even 8 to 9 hours of sunlight. So with this motivation of having enough irradiation higher than other countries, we are still lagging behind in the sector of energy. So once we have more of young people taking up the challenge to provide solutions, these solutions can be for residential, solutions to generate power for the grid, and also solutions to provide for farming, because farming is again linked up with providing food for the nation, and also providing other opportunities that are linked to the industry. So that is one sector that is there, support the upcoming entrepreneurs. Try to build up some of these things from scratch. Of course, with the networking that I have, I still continue to work with some of my former colleagues from India, some of my former colleagues in China, to try to come up with solutions that are basically based for Africa. These solutions that will provide what is needed in terms of energy. And once we have got this technology coming in, and also we've got the startups, then we can have the business aspect of of most African countries growing up, because it's from the idea and also providing of a solution that is needed that businesses and companies can actually come up from that case. So from there, you can see that we have a group of young people actually engaging themselves in providing solutions for residential people in areas where there is no electricity, with solar panels, inverters, and batteries, so that the livelihood can improve. In addition, also, there are solutions that are basically triggered to do with the farming and agriculture. Because for so many years in Zambia, we've basically depended much on the mining. But then you find that the metals, the prices of metals normally change from year to year. But then agriculture has got a potential to feed Zambia and also export to other neighboring countries. Zambia has got 8 countries that surrounds it. So if agriculture grows, the sector grows, we produce more and we can export. That is also a foreign export and also more businesses in terms of processing of food and others can come up. So this technology has got a potential to bring about more businesses, more entrepreneurship, and which means that we can also create a lot of jobs for the many graduates who are leaving university every year. So basically on the long-term goals with regards to education, business, and entrepreneurship, I expect to continue with support of the engineering development and training in Zambia. Of course, there are others who support. I've got Zambia in the diaspora in the USA, as other Zambians in Europe who have come up and like the idea, because we need people who are trained both formally with the education and also with skill set. And then we need to provide solutions for our problems. Once we provide solutions, then this can motivate the growth of businesses, the growth of entrepreneurship, and creation of more jobs. And we can develop more from having areas without electricity to areas with electricity. And then together with the directors of North Voten Engineering, we've been developing short courses with regards to solar power. When we just founded the company, we ran a few courses, but now it's been almost 3 years. So we are improving the course that we had run with regard with the solar power, so that it can be inclusive, not only target people who are leaving colleges and universities, but also inclusive of those leaving high school, so that maybe they can find the technology, instilling the technology, giving them an impetus to get more knowledge and provide solutions. Because as developing countries, as youths, because we are the leaders of tomorrow, we are the billionaires of tomorrow. So we must get the needed knowledge to provide the solutions that are needed. And then in addition, we again continue with the trying to build small wind turbines for farms. Basically, in this case, it's community farms, development farms, and also small scale and subsistence farming, so that in addition to solar that is coming in, wind can bridge the gap, because with wind there can be production in the night when solar is not there. So once we have got these two technologies supporting each other in agriculture and farming, we can have more African businesses coming up. We can have the implementation of technology. Other speakers have spoken about other ideas that can be inculcated in the ideas that you have seen can bring about more African businesses coming up, and also a lot of entrepreneurs to come up. So also there is room for collaborations, because as Africa, we can't develop this alone. We need the partnership of others who have been there. Of course, we understand India, there are a lot of manufacturing companies. We can get the knowledge, the ideas of how these can also be implemented in African countries. That is possible, but this cannot be possible without the collaborations. You have got to network, you have got to collaborate, you have got to mix up with the knowledge that you have with others. And then support education, that is the formal education in universities, and also push for the introduction of entrepreneurship. When I was a student at university, this wasn't a course, but now it has got to be a course, because apart from formal employment, there is also informal employment that can bring about development, develop the African businesses, and bring about more entrepreneurship. Thank you very much for the presentation, for listening to my presentation. And if you have any questions, any clarification, I can be reached on that email. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm Sushma, member of YUCI. I, on behalf of the Youth United Council of India, and on my behalf, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our chief guests, Mr. T.K. Sundaramurthy and Mr. Johnny Mutaba. We are honored by your presence gracing this ceremony. I also want to express my gratitude to our president, Mr. Vimal R, for his guidance and wisdom to conduct this event successfully. I would also like to thank our National Advisory, Ms. Kanika Sajal Anand, for a wonderful introduction to the summit. Next, I would like to appreciate and thank all our wonderful speakers. We are almost grateful to all the speakers on this stage. We thank you for being with us this evening. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.